Germany of Iron and Blood. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 551, Dispatch Troops. Your Highness, a telegram from the Minister of the Navy. A staff officer reported to Qin Tian. Qin Tian took the telegram, and after reading it, a gleam of relief flashed in his eyes. The Secretary of the Navy has ordered that the 1st Division of the Marine Corps set off for Berlin. It is expected that the 1st Division of the Marine Corps will arrive in Berlin tomorrow morning. The 1st Division of the Marine Corps is the most elite of the 5 Marine divisions. Yes, if they arrive in time, the rebels in Berlin will definitely not be their opponents, Qin Tian said. At the beginning, he suggested that Marshal Earl Tirpitz form the Marine Corps, on the one hand, of course, to strengthen the Navy. On the other hand, it is also to consider that he can get the support of the Navy when he needs it. Now, isn't it just such a moment, Your Highness? If only the Guards are involved in the rebellion, the 1st Marine Division can undoubtedly eliminate them. However, we must prepare for the worst. In case other troops are involved, if it is among them, the problem may be even more serious. Major General Manstein reminded. Qin Tian nodded. Indeed, he found that he thought everything was too optimistic. Sent a telegram to General Hindenburg, asking him to lead an infantry division and the 9th Armored Division to Berlin to quell the rebellion. If you encounter resistance, shoot and kill, Qin Tian ordered. The 9th Army and the 10th Army are both subsequent legions. The defense areas are East Prussia and Poland, both of which are direct descendants of Qin Tian. The main officers were also drawn from the 8th Army. The 11th Army and the 12th Army, that were subsequently formed, were also commanded by members of the 8th Army. Therefore, Qin Tian was very relieved of these legions. In this case, an infantry division plus an armored division, plus a marine division, should be foolproof. Major General Manstein said. Each legion of the German army has an armored division. Among them, the 8 main armored divisions fought on the Western Front. The 9th Armored Division of the 9th Army is undoubtedly the most powerful one among the remaining troops. It is also one of the most well organized. The Guards staying around Berlin did not have armored units. The arrival of the 9th Panzer Division in Berlin would be enough to crush any resistance. In addition, order other ministries to continue to follow the previous order. Without my order, you are not allowed to act without authorization, Qin Tian continued. If there are other troops involved in the rebellion, it can be easily distinguished from this. Qin Tian believed that with the prestige in his army, once he gave the order, there should be very few people who would dare to continue to participate in the rebellion. In this case, the rebellion in Berlin will be much easier to solve. Yes, Your Highness. I will focus on monitoring the troops, Major General Manstein said. Qin Tian nodded. Let the commanders of the armies on the Western Front rush to Versailles immediately. Before returning to Berlin, I need to communicate with them and unify our thinking. No matter what happens in Berlin, the front line must not be chaotic. Otherwise, our battle will be in vain. In Qin Tian's view, the rebellion in Berlin involving the Guards was nothing more than a small problem. Once the troops he mobilized arrived in Berlin, the problem could definitely be solved easily. In this case, the Western Front is undoubtedly the main problem. It is absolutely impossible to affect the frontline battlefield because of the rebellion that broke out in Berlin. Qin Tian hoped that Germany would win this battle. Yes, Your Highness. I will immediately send a telegram to all the legions on the front line, Major General Manstein said. By the way, Your Highness, the Crown Princess and the Little Prince are still in Berlin? What about their safety? Major General Manstein was a little worried. Don't worry, perhaps because of God's blessing, they went to Munich last week. I will send a telegram to Munich, telling them not to return to Berlin for the time being, Qin Tian said. It was precisely because of this that Qin Tian had no worries and dared to mobilize troops into Berlin to suppress the rebellion. This is also his luck. If Princess Gundlind and his son are still in Berlin, he will definitely be tied up. God bless. After Major General Manstein said this, he immediately sent a telegram. After Major General Manstein left, Qin Tian's face became ugly. There was a rebellion in Berlin, which was completely beyond his expectations. You know, under the current good situation, such an accident unexpectedly happened, which made Qin Tian very angry. At the same time, he was also dissatisfied that his intelligence department did not detect it in advance. Of course, things have already happened, and it is meaningless to pursue responsibility now. What Qin Tian needs to figure out now is why there is a rebellion in Berlin. Also, who led this rebellion? Damn it, who is in charge of this rebellion? Qin Tian had a headache. Although, Qin Tian still has many enemies. For example, the former chief of the General Staff Moltke and Lieutenant General Prittwitz, who was squeezed out of the 8th Army. However, Qin Tian didn't think that with their abilities, they could lead the rebellion this time. In addition, Qin Tian also believed that he had offended many people over the years. However, the feud between the two sides is not to the point of launching a rebellion. You know, the possibility of launching a rebellion is not high. If it fails, the consequences will be disastrous. Life is often the price. It is precisely because the cost is so high that Qin Tian believes that not everyone will have the determination to do that. What's more, even if the rebellion is successful, how will it be explained to the army and all the people? Without a legitimate reason, the citizens will definitely not accept it. At that time, it will not be so easy for the rebels to sit safely in their seats. Qin Tian never expected that Crown Prince William would wake up. In his eyes, Crown Prince William, who has become a vegetative state, is no longer threatening. In fact, Qin Tian once thought that Crown Prince William was threatening doomed, and that he would spend his entire life in a deep sleep until he died. However, who would have thought that a miracle would happen to Crown Prince William? After sleeping for such a long time, he actually woke up, which is really unexpected. It is precisely because of this that the mutiny launched by Crown Prince William was able to succeed. Since he couldn't guess who led the rebellion this time, Qin Tian didn't force it. As long as this rebellion is suppressed, everything will naturally come to light. Chapter 552, Mutation. Marshal Earl Tirpitz really took a lot of risks this time. It is worth my support for the development of the Imperial Navy. Qin Tian heard that Marshal Earl Tirpitz directly dispatched a Marine division to Berlin. Could not help saying, although Marshal Count Tirpitz is the Minister of the Imperial Navy, an absolute senior official of the Empire. However, it is undoubtedly very taboo to send troops to Berlin without the Emperor's order. Once the responsibility is investigated, the Marshal Earl Tirpitz can't afford to go around. In light cases, he was dismissed from his post, and in severe cases, he was tried by a military court. Of course, this is undoubtedly of great benefit to Qin Tian. By doing this, Marshal Earl Tirpitz undoubtedly went to fight for Qin Tian. Before obtaining the exact information, Marshal Earl Tirpitz did this to further ascertain the situation. Several group army commanders fighting in France rushed to Versailles overnight, after receiving Qin Tian's order. Fortunately, France is not that big. Several legions are actually not far from Versailles, and it only takes a few hours to drive. At 5 o'clock in the morning, several legion commanders rushed all the way to Versailles. Everyone's faces were full of tiredness. After all, most of these legion commanders are not young, except for Prince Ruprecht, the commander of the 6th Group, and Lieutenant General Ludendorff, the Chief of Staff of the 8th Army who commanded the 8th Army on behalf of Qin Tian. Most of them were in their 50s or 60s. Everyone was a little surprised that Qin Tian summoned them in such a hurry. After all, the current war in France is already very beneficial to the German army. There shouldn't be anything major happening. His Royal Highness, has something happened? Admiral Crook asked. The gazes of other people also focused on Qin Tian. From the stern expression on Qin Tian's face, everyone also felt that something big had happened. Everyone, there is a rebellion in Berlin. The Imperial Guards have launched a mutiny. The Admiralty and the General Staff have been captured by the rebels. Your Majesty can't be contacted either. It is estimated that the Imperial Palace has also fallen. Qin Tian said. What? How is this possible? The generals all had expressions of disbelief. Your Highness, this is not a joke, right? We are fighting on the front line, and we are fighting against many European powers that are not our opponents. Now, the Imperial Guard in the capital has launched a mutiny? Admiral Billow couldn't laugh or cry. The other generals also expressed their own doubts. After all, the Janissaries were the confidants of Kaiser Wilhelm II. How could they launch a mutiny? This is so strange. Because I have limited information, I don't know what's going on. However, I received a telegram from Berlin a few hours ago. The telegram was sent in the name of His Majesty, declaring that His Majesty was seriously ill, and asked me to rush back to Berlin immediately. When I was about to leave, His Majesty's housekeeper, Kanjiro, sent someone to send a message, saying that a mutiny broke out in the Imperial Guards and the palace was under attack. Qin Tian said, "Trap, Your Highness. This is definitely a trap. Those guys really betrayed the Empire. Letting His Highness go back to Berlin at this time is to harm His Highness." Prince Ruprecht said immediately, "Yes, Your Highness. They want to harm you. Even a fool can see such a strategy, let alone their generals who have been in command all year round. I also know that this is a trap. However, I have to go to Berlin. Your Majesty and the Queen have fallen into the hands of the rebels, and their lives are unknown. Besides, if I don't return to Berlin, how can the rebellion be put down?" A murderous look flashed in Qin Tian's eyes. Apparently, he had already planned to kill those rebels. "Your Highness, I'll go back with you. Sending 2 infantry divisions from the front line to go back together is enough to put down the rebellion," Admiral Crook said immediately. The other generals also asked for orders. After all, putting down the rebellion is also a great achievement. "Everyone, I have already made arrangements to put down the rebellion. Marshal Earl Tirpitz has sent a marine division to Berlin. In addition, I have dispatched an infantry division and an armored division from the 9th Army to go to Berlin. Berlin is here. I think 2 infantry divisions plus 1 armored division will have no problem dealing with the Imperial Guards." Qin Tian said, "Your task is still to defeat the British and French coalition forces on the French battlefield. No matter what the domestic situation is, the war must continue. We have paid a huge price to win this war. We must not give up halfway." Qin Tian said, "Yes, Your Highness." Several legion commanders nodded, although they wanted to return to the country with Qin Tian to quell the rebellion. But they know that the current battle situation on the front line is tense, and they really cannot do without them. In addition, they also knew that Qin Tian had sent 2 infantry divisions and 1 armored division to Berlin. Then, the rebels there probably won't be able to make waves. "Your Highness, after catching those **** rebels, you must not let them go lightly," Admiral Housen said. "Yes, Your Highness. Hang all those masterminds behind the scenes." Admiral Dimlin also said, "They fought hard against the enemy on the front line, and those guys launched a rebellion in the rear. It was basically stabbing them in the back. This naturally couldn't make them very angry. I won't make it easy for them," Qin Tian said. At this moment, Major General Manstein walked in, his face a little ugly. "Your Highness, there is a change in the 4th Army. Their troops are preparing to leave. According to the information we have received, they are preparing to withdraw to the country," Major General Manstein reported. Qin Tian's complexion suddenly became very ugly. The 4th Army wants to withdraw to the country at this time, so it is naturally conceivable what the purpose is. "Damn," I said, "how could the Duke of Württemberg return home at this time?" "So he wanted to launch a rebellion," Admiral Crook cursed. "Your Highness, the 4th Army must not be allowed to return home. Otherwise, the situation will become even more chaotic," Admiral Housen also said with a serious face. Qin Tian nodded. If it was just the rebellion of the Imperial Guards, then there were only about 20,000 Imperial Guards, which was nothing at all. The army he sent was enough to crush those rebels. However, if the 4th Army is also involved, it will be completely different. The 4th Army has 200,000 people. Even if it lost a lot in the previous battles, there are still more than 100,000. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 553, Return to Berlin. Manstein, send me a telegram to the Deputy Commander-in-Chief of Staff of the 4th Army to come to Versailles to meet me immediately. Tell them that the 4th Army will immediately stop moving and return to its station. The Duke of Württemberg is suspected of participating in the rebellion. If they follow the order of the Duke of Württemberg, it will be tantamount to rebellion. Qin Tian said with a serious face. At this time, you have to be more ruthless. Otherwise, once the Fourth Army is allowed to return to the country, the consequences will be disastrous. Yes, Your Highness. Major General Manstein immediately went to send a telegram. He also knew that the situation was urgent. Your Highness. Highness, we still need to make preparations early. If the Fourth Army doesn't obey His Highness's order, the problem will be serious. Admiral Crook reminded. Yes, Your Highness. No one can guarantee whether the generals of the Fourth Army participated in it. General Bluo also said. General Ludendorff, the Eighth Army immediately turned around and went north, preparing to intercept the Fourth Army. If they don't obey the order, I authorize you to launch an attack. Qin Tian ordered. Yes, Your Highness. Lieutenant General Ludendorff stood up and saluted before leaving immediately. Although the strength of the 8th Army is similar to that of the 4th Army, the 8th Army was formed later than the 4th Army. However, after the 8th Army's strength has been reborn, it is far stronger than the 4th Army. General Crook, after the 8th Army is temporarily transferred, the battle against the British Expeditionary Force will rely on the 1st Army. If necessary, the attack can be suspended. Qin Tian said. After all, there are still more than 300,000 troops assembled by the British Expeditionary Force in Le Havre. In terms of strength, it is not much less than the 1st Army. Yes, Your Highness. Admiral Crook nodded. Okay, everyone. Go down and have a rest, and then return to your respective troops. I will deal with the rebellion with all my strength. And I will ensure that it will be quelled as soon as possible, and the country and the army will not be affected too much. And what we have to do is to defeat our enemies on the front line and not give them any chance to take advantage of it. Qin Tian said. Yes, Your Highness. Several legions commanders replied. They all know that Qin Tian's arrangement is already the best. Although there was a rebellion, they all believed that it would not have much impact on the German Empire. The current task of the 4th Army is to ensure the safety of the army's logistics supply line and suppress the resistance forces in France. Therefore, their headquarters was located in Compiègne, a little further north. The Duke of Württemberg, the commander of the army group, has returned to the country, so now it is Lieutenant General von Fabeck, the deputy commander of the army group, and Lieutenant General Kurush, the chief of staff. The two received a telegram from the Duke of Württemberg at 2 o'clock in the morning. The Duke of Württemberg asked them to lead the troops back to the country immediately. Although, the two don't quite understand what's going on. However, they carried out the telegram from the Duke of Württemberg. After all, most of the members of the 4th Army came from the Kingdom of Württemberg. Report to the General. The 15th Army has completed preparations and is ready to go. A staff officer reported. However, Lieutenant Generals von Fabeck and Lieutenant General Kurush did not immediately issue an order to allow the departure. This made the staff officer a little puzzled. However, there was no urging. Killis, I always feel that something is wrong this time. His Highness the Crown Prince's previous order was to let the 4th Army ensure the smooth flow of the logistics supply line. Your Excellency Commander, now let us go back to the country. But we did not receive an order from His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. If we carry out the order of His Excellency the Commander in this way, once the Crown Prince pursues it, the problem may become serious. Lieutenant General von Fabeck said. Lieutenant General Kurush nodded. Yes. This is really strange. Your Excellency Commander's order is indeed a bit confusing. Lieutenant General Kurush said. Killis, do you think this will involve political struggle? Lieutenant General von Fabeck asked. Lieutenant General Kurush's face suddenly changed. They are all soldiers and don't know much about political struggle. However, I know that every political struggle is cruel. Once involved, the consequences will be unimaginable, and if it is not done well, it will lose its life. Then do we still have to fulfill the orders of His Excellency the Commander? Lieutenant General Kurush asked. This. Lieutenant General von Fabeck also hesitated. How about we send a telegram to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince to inquire? After all, His Highness the Crown Prince is the commander of the Western Front and can be regarded as our immediate superior. It is always right to ask his opinion. Feng? Lieutenant General Fabak said. Lieutenant General Kurush nodded. Okay, in this case, it is undoubtedly the safest. At this moment, a staff officer ran in anxiously. General, a telegram from His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Lieutenant General von Fabak and Lieutenant General Kurush immediately took the telegram, and the two got together to read the telegram. After reading the telegram, the faces of the two of them were already pale. The content of the telegram was precisely Qin Tian's request that their troops stop marching and return to the barracks. In addition, there is the involvement of the Duke of Württemberg in the rebellion. Lieutenant General von Fabak and Lieutenant General Kurush were both shocked. Obviously, the Duke of Württemberg would actually participate in the rebellion, which was completely beyond their expectations. Kurush, what should we do now? Lieutenant General von Fabak wanted to cry, but had no tears. They didn't even know that the Duke of Württemberg would participate in the rebellion, which made them feel like they had encountered an indiscriminate disaster. It seems that we can't follow the command of His Excellency Commander. What he did has nothing to do with us. We can't get involved because of it. That would be too unfair to us, it is. Lieutenant General Kurush said. Lieutenant General von Fabak nodded again and again. Under Qin Tian's strict order, it was obvious that they had decided to betray the Duke of Württemberg's order. Lieutenant General von Fabak and Lieutenant General Kurush quickly sent a telegram to the Western Front Command, informing Qin Tian that they had ordered the army to stop their operations, and they both rushed to Versailles to see Qin Tian. After meeting Lieutenant Generals von Fabak and Lieutenant Kurush, and knowing that they did not know, Qin Tian did not hold them accountable. Instead, they are required to continue to perform the task of ensuring the safety of logistical supply lines. After all, millions of troops are fighting in France, and the safety of the logistics supply line cannot be underestimated. After that, Qin Tian set off for Berlin, and this has already delayed a lot of time. Chapter 554, Siege of Berlin. On the railway from Wilhelmshaven to Berlin, a series of military trains passed by. More than 18,000 officers and soldiers of the 1st Division of the Imperial Marine Corps rushed from Wilhelmshaven to Berlin with their equipment in 5 special trains. The order they received was that there was a rebellion in Berlin, and the life of His Majesty the Emperor was threatened. Their task is to block the traffic arteries around Berlin, after arriving in Berlin, and capture the train station, waiting for the troops transferred from the 9th Army. In the first-class compartment of a military column, a young general is studying combat deployment. He is the commander of the 1st Division of the Marine Corps, Alexander Linsingen, Major General. As the 1st Marine Division formed by the Navy, the 1st Marine Division has the best equipment and the hardest training. This makes the combat effectiveness of the 1st Marine Division the most powerful among the 5 Marine Divisions. Although they are the Marine Corps, their equipment is comparable to that of the Army's main infantry division. Even, the division headquarters has an armored battalion with more than 20 tanks. General, according to the information we have received, the rebels have clearly taken full control of Berlin. The Imperial Palace and other important transportation points in the city have already fallen into the control of the rebels. Most importantly, His Majesty the Emperor and others, I'm afraid that the important people have become hostages in the hands of the rebels at this moment. If we launch an attack rashly, we are afraid that the rebels will harm His Majesty and the other hostages, a staff officer said. Now we don't know anything about the situation of the rebels. Whether they will do that is still unknown. His Highness the Crown Prince will rush back to Berlin as soon as possible. At that time, we will directly obey the orders of the Crown Prince. Before that, take down the outer strongholds of Berlin and the train station, Major General Alexander Linsingen said. He is also full of respect for Qin Tian, who proposed to form the Marine Corps. Otherwise, he might still be the head of the colonel now. It was precisely because of the formation of the Marine Corps that he was promoted exceptionally. Originally, he thought that, after finishing the war that landed in the British mainland, he could get promoted again. But I didn't expect that the opportunity came so quickly now. Before landing on the British mainland, he will be able to get another battle immediately. Major General Alexander Linsingen is not worried at all about the rebels occupying Berlin. Although, the Imperial Guard is known as the most elite unit in the army. But in fact, the Praetorian Guard has not fought a battle for many years. without the experience of war. What kind of elite army is it? What's more, the equipment of the Imperial Guards is also very old. In the absence of actual combat missions, the replacement of their equipment is naturally not as good as the main combat force. Thanks to the developed railway network, the 1st Marine Division arrived in Berlin in just one day. There was no way for them to enter Berlin directly because of the checkpoints set up by the Janissaries. The train stopped at a small station more than 10 kilometers away from Berlin. Get out of the car immediately, complete preparations within an hour, and head to Berlin. Major General Alexander Linsinger ordered. Yes, General. The various units of the 1st Marine Division began to get out of the car. The soldiers stepped out of the carriages and began to form. All kinds of equipment were also loaded and unloaded from the train. Marshal Earl Tirpitz has already mobilized a large number of trucks from other places to stand by here. At 7 o'clock in the morning, the 1st Marine Division began to attack Berlin. Although there are a lot of guards in Berlin, however, they are scattered everywhere. Facing the attack of the 1st Marine Corps Division, they were in a hurry and could not resist at all. The real fierce battle broke out around the Berlin train station. The Imperial Guards have deployed 2 battalions here. They knew that, if the train station was lost, the army loyal to Qin Tian would be able to take the train and rush to Berlin quickly. In order not to damage the train station as much as possible, the 1st Marine Division did not use heavy artillery when attacking. After all, Berlin was occupied by rebels though, but a large number of ordinary people in the city are innocent. In fact, when the guns sounded, the people in Berlin were terrified. The heavy machine began guns to fire, and the Praetorian Guard set up heavy machine guns on the barricades outside the train station, using intensive firepower to block the attack of the 1st Marine Division. However, when Major General Alexander Linsinger did not hesitate to put the armored battalion into the offensive, the Imperial Guard immediately collapsed. The Praetorian Guards were not equipped with tanks, let alone weapons against tanks. After all, if Berlin, which is in the hinterland of the Empire, is attacked by the enemy's armored forces, then Germany is not far from defeat, right? In that case, there is naturally no need to equip those anti-tank weapons. However, this is undoubtedly bad news for those who launched the mutiny. The guards stationed at the railway station, under the attack of the 1st Infantry Division of the Marine Corps, failed after only holding on for half an hour. Most of the officers and soldiers of the 2 battalions surrendered to the 1st Marine Division. Others fled. On the railway from Königsberg to Berlin, civilians' trains have stopped running, and military trains are passing through. General Hindenburg, commander of the 9th Army of the German Army, is leading an infantry division and an armored division to Berlin. At this moment, Admiral Hindenburg's face was serious. There was a rebellion in Berlin at this juncture, which greatly exceeded his expectations. However, the current him can be regarded as Qin Tian's person. His honor and disgrace are all tied to Qin Tian. Therefore, he absolutely cannot sit back and watch the rebellion succeed, and Qin Tian's position as crown prince is threatened. Therefore, after receiving Qin Tian's order, he immediately gathered his troops and prepared to rush to Berlin. Your Excellency, the 1st Marine Division has called. They have occupied the train station and cleared the obstacles along the line. We can directly enter the train station, a staff officer reported. Admiral Hindenburg nodded. Well, let the troops get ready. By the way, when will His Royal Highness the Crown Prince return to Berlin? Admiral Hindenburg asked. Your Excellency, Commander, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince has already set off from France. It is expected to return to Berlin tomorrow. Well, after we arrive in Berlin, we will surround Berlin first, and wait until His Royal Highness arrived, and then follow his orders. Marshal Hindenburg said. Yes, Your Excellency Commander. After the 8th Armored Division and 101st Infantry Division of the 9th Army arrived in Berlin, they joined forces with the 1st Marine Division to surround Berlin. All the rebels were surrounded inside. Chapter 555. Frightened. Berlin, Imperial Palace. The blood in the hall has been cleaned up, the carpet has been replaced with a new one, and the body of William II has been brought down. However, the smell of blood in the hall seemed to be unable to dissipate. Crown Prince William sat in the hall with a gloomy face. Although, the mutiny appears to have succeeded. However, he was not able to do his best. although they have occupied Berlin, occupied the palace. But what's the use? What they were most worried about still happened. After the mutiny was launched, the most important thing for Crown Prince William was to trick Qin Tian into Berlin, put him under house arrest, or even kill him, so that future troubles could be avoided. After all, Qin Tian already controlled more than 70% of the country's military power, and the rest, Crown Prince William is not able to grasp all. This makes the strength of the two very different. Under such circumstances, if Qin Tian noticed that something was wrong, would their mutiny still succeed? In addition, Crown Prince William originally wanted to force William II to issue an abdication edict and pass on the throne to him. But unexpectedly, he accidentally killed William II. This undoubtedly made the situation more complicated. If this situation is exposed, the consequences will be even more unimaginable. It is even more impossible for him to inherit the throne. The German people will never let a person who killed his father inherit the throne. The Duke of Württemberg walked into the hall with an ugly expression on his face. Seeing the face of the Duke of Württemberg, Crown Prince William suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. "Your Excellency, has something happened to the Fourth Army?" Crown Prince William asked. The 100,000 to 200,000 troops of the Fourth Army have now become the most important force under Crown Prince William. If this force can return home, it might be able to stabilize the situation. Once there is any mistake in this army, the consequences will be serious. The Fourth Army betrayed my life. Damn von Fabek and Holmes, they actually betrayed me and obeyed Oscar's orders. Now, I have lost command of the Fourth Army. Duke Tenberg looked angry. Without the Fourth Army, the power and status of the Duke of Württemberg will be greatly reduced. Even after the failure of this mutiny, he will pay an extremely heavy price for it. If it is not done well, even his own life will be threatened. If he mastered the 4th Legion, he still had room to bargain with Qin Tian. So now, he has become meat on the chopping board. How could this be? Isn't most of the 4th Army from the Kingdom of Württemberg? How come they don't even listen to your orders? Crown Prince William was astonished, and a trace of panic flashed in his eyes. Without the support of the 4th Army, their mutiny this time, the possibility of success is almost negligible. His Royal Highness, we have underestimated Oscar's influence in the army. My people reported to me that Oscar sent a telegram to the 4th Army, asking the army to return to the barracks. And von Fabek and Halm, those two fellows, just obeyed Oscar's order and rushed to Versailles. I really regret that I didn't see the essence of these two guys at the beginning, so that it fell into this position now. The Duke of Württemberg had a look of hatred, and even a hint of regret in his eyes. However, it seems that it is completely useless to say these now. Then what should we do now? Crown Prince William asked. The Duke of Württemberg didn't say a word, and now he doesn't know what to do. If possible, he would like to leave Berlin immediately, as if nothing had happened. However, he could act as if nothing had happened, but would anyone else? Qin Tian must have known that he was involved in the rebellion. After the rebellion in Berlin is quelled, he will definitely not let him go. At this moment, little Maoki also came in. Moreover, Xiao Maoki's complexion is also very ugly. Seeing such a situation, Crown Prince William's heart sank even more. He knew that this must be another bad news. Your Excellency, what's the matter? Crown Prince William asked. Your Highness, the 1st Division of the Marine Corps has arrived in the outskirts of Berlin by train and is now heading towards Berlin. Xiao Maoki reported. What? The 1st Division of the Marine Corps? What kind of unit is that? Crown Prince William frowned. When he became a vegetative state, the Marine however Corps had not yet been formed. Of course he didn't know. Your Highness, the Marine Corps is a force that Oscar and Tirpitz jointly persuaded His Majesty to form. It is essentially a force controlled by the Navy for landing operations. It is well equipped and its combat effectiveness is not inferior to that of the army. The main battle force. Xiao Maoki said. Crown Prince William was completely speechless. The Navy has actually mastered a powerful land combat force. This undoubtedly allows the Navy to use it for greater strength. Can our guards withstand their attack? Crown Prince William asked. But little Moltke didn't answer. The Duke of Württemberg opened his mouth, but didn't say anything. Crown Prince William immediately understood the meaning. That is, the Janissary is definitely not the opponent of the 1st Division of the Marine Corps. Once there is a fight, the Praetorian Guard will be defeated. At that time, the mutiny they launched will naturally end in failure. What should we do now? Crown Prince William only felt that he seemed to have made a huge mistake, an irreparable mistake. If the mutiny was successful, perhaps okay, he would become Emperor of the Empire. However, if he fails, he will die. After all, he killed his father himself, which is undoubtedly a felony. Your Highness, although the current situation is somewhat unfavorable to us, it has not reached the worst point after all. Maybe there will be a turning point. Zhao Maoki said. Boom. 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 At this time, the sound of cannons came faintly. This immediately made Crown Prince William's face even uglier. Although he graduated from a military academy, he also served in the army. However, after all, he never went to the battlefield. Fire. They actually fired. Don't they know that this is Berlin? This is the capital of the empire. That guy Tirpitz sent troops into Berlin without His Majesty's order and launched an attack. This is a rebellion. Crown Prince William was furious. However, he seemed to have forgotten that, even if it was a rebellion, he was the one who started it. There also seemed to be obvious horror on his angry face. Obviously, he was still frightened when the gunfire sounded. Chapter 556, Suppression by Force. Little Moltke and the Duke of Württemberg's expressions became very serious. Obviously, after the Marines arrived, they launched an attack without hesitation. This undoubtedly showed that Qin Tian had already learned of the changes in Berlin and would directly suppress them by force. This is of no benefit to them. After all, with the Imperial Guards under their control, it is impossible to withstand the opponents of the Marine Corps and the army that arrived later. At that time, there will be no good end for those who wait for them. Damn it, Tirpitz is simply rebelling. After we succeed, I will have him tried by a court-martial, deprived of his title, relieved of his duties, and sent to the gallows. Crown Prince William shouted loudly road. But whether it is Moltke or the Duke of Württemberg, they undoubtedly think that the possibility of his success is very small. After all, under the pressure of the army loyal to Qin Tian, they might not be able to hold on for long. At that time, they will probably be sent to the gallows. Boom. 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 Bang. 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 The sound of the guns became more and more intense. Although he didn't see it with his own eyes, Crown Prince William still imagined that the battle must have become more and more intense. God bless. I hope the guards can withstand the attack of the Marine Corps. Otherwise, everything will be over. Crown Prince William secretly prayed to God, which seemed to have become his only way. Not long after, Lieutenant General Prittwitz ran in a panic. His Royal Highness, the Marines are attacking fiercely. They even use tanks. Those strongholds and traffic arteries outside Berlin have into the hands of the Marines. Now, they are attacking the railway station. General Graf is leading the troops to resist. However, the Marine Corps has used a large number of heavy weapons, and the guards, which lack heavy firepower and anti-tank weapons, may be difficult to resist. Lieutenant General Prittwitz looked terrified. Before launching the mutiny, he was undoubtedly high-spirited and thought he could succeed. At that time, he will be able to take this opportunity to occupy a high position. But I didn't expect that the reality was so cruel. Their mutiny started off smoothly, but now, it has gradually failed. Bastard. They actually use tanks. Don't they care about the life and death of His Majesty the Emperor and other important military and political officials? Crown Prince William was furious. Undoubtedly, the fierce attack of the Marine Corps also showed Qin Tian's tough attitude. This made Crown Prince William even more worried. Give General Graf an order to guard the train station as much as possible. If the train station is taken away by them, they can use the train station to send troops to Berlin continuously. By then, we will no longer be opponents. Little Malky said, Your Excellency, we don't have many troops now. If we fight hard with them, we may suffer heavy losses. What should we do then? Crown Prince William hesitated. Your Highness, I don't care so much anymore. If we lose the train station, we will fail faster. Little Maoki was also anxious. He realized that he had been blinded by lard before. Otherwise, how could he be persuaded by Crown Prince William to join the rebellion? Now it seems that this rebellion is so absurd, there is no possibility of success at all. It's just that it's hard to ride a tiger now, and I can only go to the dark one by one. Well, let's do what Earl Moltke wants, Crown Prince William said. Crown Prince William was originally a person who was headstrong and conceited, but at the same time, did not have much opinion. In a critical situation, it is impossible to make up your own mind at all, and you can only follow the advice of others. Although, the rebels want to hold the train station. However, under the fierce attack of the Marine Corps, the railway station was eventually lost. The 9th Armored Division and 101st Infantry Division of the German 9th Army arrived in Berlin by train. The arrival of the two divisions put the rebels at a disadvantage. The whole of Berlin has been surrounded by the Marine Corps and the army. On the evening of April 28th, Qin Tian arrived at Berlin railway station on a special train. After the train stopped, the guards came down first. After they confirmed that the surrounding area was safe, Qin Tian stepped off the train accompanied by the Chief Guard Point General Hindenburg, commander of the 9th Army, Major General Rommel, commander of the 9th Armored Division, Major General Carter, commander of the 101st Infantry Division, and Major General Alexander Linsingen, commander of the 1st Marine Division. All rushed to the train station to welcome the arrival of Qin Tian. After all, with the mutiny taking place in Berlin and the life and death of Wilhelm II unknown, Qin Tian, the Crown Prince, is undoubtedly the supreme ruler of the empire. What's more, Qin Tian already had a lofty influence in the army. Your Highness, was the journey safe? Admiral Hindenburg asked. Fortunately, there is no problem. But everyone is in Berlin. You have worked hard, Qin Tian said. Your Highness, Berlin is currently under our siege. All major traffic arteries are under our control. However, we have not launched an attack on the important strongholds in the city, occupied by the rebels, Admiral Hindenburg said. Qin Tian nodded. Do you know who initiated this mutiny? Your Highness, according to the information we have, it was Crown Prince William who initiated the mutiny. Major General Alexander Linsingen replied. Crown Prince William? How is this possible? Didn't he become a vegetable? Qin Tian was taken aback for a moment. Now, he's awake. So that's the case. Qin Tian nodded. If this is the case, then everything can be explained. Originally, Qin Tian thought that Crown Prince William would never wake up again. But what he expected was that a medical miracle actually happened to him. However, even so, Qin Tian will not hand over the succession to the throne. The current empire has finally achieved its current achievements. If it is just let go, Qin Tian will not do it. He also believes that Crown Prince William is definitely not someone who can lead the empire to a stronger state. What's more, Qin Tian was still worried that, if he handed over the succession to the throne, Crown Prince William would not let him go. Therefore, Qin Tian will not back down this time. Even if he is the Crown Prince, he is just the former Crown Prince. At the most critical moment of the war, there was a rebellion, which is absolutely unacceptable to us. Regarding this rebellion, I only have one request, that is to carry out force suppression, to completely put down this rebellion. The longer the delay, the more detrimental it will be to the empire, Qin Tian said with a serious face. Yes, Your Highness. Hindenburg and the others answered seriously. Chapter 557, Vulnerable. Crown Prince William actually woke up, which was undoubtedly very surprising to Qin Tian. Even in later generations, there are quite few cases of vegetative people waking up, let alone the current technology and medical technology, which is far from being comparable to later generations. So, Qin Tian can only think that this is Crown Prince William's luck. However, although he was lucky, he tried in vain to launch a mutiny in order to take back the right to inherit the throne. Well, he was dead wrong. After these years of development, especially the amazing performance in this war, the current Qin Tian can be said to have formed wings. Even William II would not easily want to depose Qin Tian as Crown Prince, let alone Crown Prince William. This rebellion is undoubtedly an opportunity for Qin Tian. As long as he can take this opportunity to step down Crown Prince William in one fell swoop, it will be done once and for all. In Qin Tian's heart, an idea also popped up. Now that the palace has been contributed by the rebels, I don't know what happened to William II. If he was accidentally injured or even killed during the rebellion, then history changed completely. As the crown prince, he can justifiably inherit the throne and become the emperor of the most powerful empire in the world. You know, before Qin Tian always thought that if he wanted to inherit the throne, he might have to wait another 20 years. By that time, he was already in his 50s. But he did not expect that the current historical trend is completely different from what he is familiar with. It's no wonder, because of his appearance, the history has already been falsified beyond recognition. Although William II is his own sheep father, it would be somewhat treasonous to want him to die. But this kind of thinking, like a weed, grows uncontrollably and rapidly. The taste of power is like a drug. Once you get it, it's hard to get rid of it. The same is true for Qin Tian now. If he wanted to let him give up the power in his hands, he couldn't do it at all. He has already enjoyed all the tastes of power. If someone deprives him of his power, it will make him more uncomfortable than killing him. If William II really died in this rebellion, it would undoubtedly be the best for Qin Tian. In this case, he would not have to wait another 20 years to become emperor. Of course, Qin Tian didn't he know that William II had indeed died as he wished, and was killed by Crown Prince William himself. After Qin Tian ordered a force to quell the rebellion, Admiral Hindenburg and others immediately carried out his order. Major General Rommel's 9th Armored Division became the main force to quell the rebellion. More than 200 tanks, divided into multiple units, launched an attack on the predetermined target. The 1st Marine Division and the 101st Infantry Division cooperated with the 9th Armored Division, although it is already night. However, field battles are nothing to the elite German army. On the contrary, the Praetorian Guards did not expect that the German army would launch an attack overnight, which meant that they could not resist it. Crunch. Crunch. The tracks of the tank crushed on the streets of Berlin, leaving deep ruts on the ground. The headlights of the tank were turned on, because the information obtained is that the guards are not equipped with anti-tank weapons, so these tanks do not have to be afraid of being destroyed. After all, they would definitely not have the guts to let those pampered janissaries explode explosive packs or grenades and rush towards these tanks. Boom. A tank aimed at the barricades set up by the janissaries on the street. A violent explosion sounded, and the barricade was blown apart at once. Immediately, the infantry fighting behind the tanks, under the cover of their own fierce machine gun fire, launched an attack on the barricade. Da-da-da. The dense bullets fired by the heavy machine gun left trails of flames under the night. Facing the army's tank attack, the Praetorian Guard simply couldn't resist it. The moment the barricade was blown down, he fled immediately. The 9th Armored Division and 101st Infantry Division of the German Army and the 1st Marine Division launched a full-scale offensive throughout the city of Berlin. The Imperial Guards stationed in various important places in the city were attacked fiercely. They were defeated one after another with heavy casualties. More and more positions were recovered by the Germans. The army staff headquarters became an important location where the German army first recovered. Under the cover of more than a dozen tanks, an infantry battalion defeated the Praetorian Guards stationed here. At the last moment, the Imperial Guards stationed here chose to surrender. This is why a group of army generals, including the Minister of War and Chief of Staff von Falkenhayn, who were imprisoned here, survived. Of course, the guards who rebelled may not really dare to kill these senior generals. Marshal von Falkenhayn rushed to meet Qin Tian immediately after he got out of trouble. After seeing that Marshal von Falkenhayn was safe and sound, Qin Tian also breathed a sigh of relief. What he is most worried about is the safety of these important imperial ministers during the process of armed suppression. Fortunately, it seems that these rebels have not yet reached the point of madness. A few hours later, other important ministers of the empire were also rescued. When the rebellion broke out, senior officials, including the Prime Minister, were put under house arrest by the rebels. Crown Prince William did not embarrass them. After all, once his mutiny is successful, he will have to rely on these people to continue to manage this huge empire. Perhaps, Crown Prince William did not expect that his mutiny would fail so quickly. All the important officials of the empire who were rescued came to meet Qin Tian. On the one hand, they were grateful to Qin Tian for saving them. On the other hand, they were a little confused about this rebellion, and they didn't know why such a rebellion happened. After learning that the rebellion was actually instigated by Crown Prince William, these important imperial ministers were even more stunned. It is indeed a miracle that the vegetative person wakes up. However, it was indeed beyond their expectations that Crown Prince William would do such a thing. Of course, this is not incomprehensible. After all, the original Crown Prince belonged to Crown Prince William. But after waking up, everything changed. Not only is the position of Crown Prince gone, but there is even no chance to regain the position of Crown Prince. Under such circumstances, Crown Prince William would naturally choose to take the risk. Everyone knows the character of Crown Prince William very well. He was originally, like William II, a headstrong and conceited person. It is only human nature to choose such an extreme method for the sake of one's own Crown Prince. Chapter 558, Nowhere. His Royal Highness, I really didn't expect His Royal Highness Prince William to do such a thing. The palace has been captured by them for a long time. I don't know how His Majesty is doing now. Prime Minister Bernhard von Bülow was very worried. Crown Prince William lost his position as Crown Prince a long time ago, so Bernhard von Bülow no longer calls him Crown Prince. Yes, it is God's blessing that His Royal Highness Prince William can wake up. But why did he do such a thing? Foreign Minister von Kidron-Wachter also shook his head again and again. In his view, since Crown Prince William has lost the position of Crown Prince, he should not try to regain it. After all, Qin Tian has served as the Crown Prince of the Empire for these years, and his talents and contributions are obvious to all. His performance was undoubtedly much better than Crown Prince William's. Even if William II agreed to return the position of Crown Prince to William, I'm afraid that these important ministers of the Empire would not agree. After all, the Empire has achieved what it is now, and it is hard to come by. None of them hope that the Empire's development will have problems again because of Crown Prince William. In that case, wouldn't all the efforts of these years be in vain? I know what happened to the father now. The entire palace is under the control of the rebels. I just hope that the eldest brother will not embarrass the father. Qin Tian sighed. His Royal Highness Prince William should not dare to do anything to His Majesty. What he wants is nothing more than the position of Crown Prince. The reason why he launched the mutiny must be to force His Majesty to hand over the position of Crown Prince to him again. Prime Minister Hart von Bülow said, Your Excellency Prime Minister, it's hard to say. Your Majesty is a man of firm will. His Highness Prince William wants to use this method to persecute the Empire and regain the Crown Prince. His Majesty will definitely not agree. In case His Royal Highness Prince William, if you become angry and hurt His Majesty, then the problem will be troublesome. Admiral Hindenburg said. Prime Minister Bernhard von Pineapple and Minister of Foreign Affairs von Kidron-Wachter couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. Even if they think this possibility is very small, they have to admit that this possibility exists. Once such a thing really happened, it would undoubtedly be a huge crisis for the German Empire. If such a tragedy really happened, then His Royal Highness Crown Prince Oscar will immediately inherit the throne and become the new Emperor of the German Empire. I think this is what the government, the military, and all the people want to see. After all, no one here is more suitable to lead the German Empire than His Royal Highness Crown Prince Oscar. Prime Minister Bernhard von Bülow stated. Yes, if there is something wrong with His Majesty, then His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is the legal heir to the throne and should inherit the throne. Von Kidron-Wachter also said immediately, the attitude of the two of them almost represented the attitude of the imperial civil servants. Although Qin Tian's main foundation is in the military, however, within the government, he still has a lot of supporters. After all, none of them are fools, and they all know why the German Empire was able to win this war. It can be said that this is inseparable from Qin Tian's efforts. Under such circumstances, of course everyone knows that Qin Tian is the most suitable candidate for the Emperor of the Empire. The statements of Prime Minister Bernhard von Bülow and Foreign Minister von Kidron-Wachter made Qin Tian very satisfied. Of course, he couldn't show this kind of thing. Otherwise, wouldn't it be looking forward to the death of William II? In that case, it will leave a bad influence in the hearts of these ministers. Everyone, I believe that father will be blessed by God, and he will be fine. As long as we suppress the rebellion, your majesty will be safe. Qin Tian said. God bless your majesty. The others also said quickly. Obviously, everyone has also realized that it is indeed inappropriate to talk about the life and death of William II at this time. While Qin Tian and the others had already secured the victory, Crown Prince William and his henchmen who were hiding in the palace were in a state of panic. His Royal Highness, the current situation is very unfavorable to us. His Royal Highness Oscar and the others are indeed preparing to defend us to the death. They have mobilized more than 50,000 elite troops to launch an attack, including more than 200 tanks. Guards, it's almost overwhelmed. All the strongholds in the city have been captured by the army and the marines, and the defense line of the Imperial Guard is shrinking. It is estimated that it will not be long before they can only hide in the palace. Graf the Lieutenant General looked serious. Crown Prince William and his henchmen couldn't help but turn pale after hearing such words. Obviously, they all knew that once the Imperial Guard retreated to the palace, it meant that their mutiny was about to fail. At that time, these people will definitely not end well. Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Oscar, how did he react so quickly? He mobilized heavy troops to attack Berlin so quickly? Crown Prince William panicked. Originally, he thought he had planned this mutiny very thoughtfully. Various places have been considered. After capturing Berlin, they only need to trick Qin Tian to come to Berlin, put him under house arrest or kill him. Then, they won the victory of this mutiny. But unfortunately, Qin Tian was not fooled, and even mobilized heavy troops to suppress them, which directly caused a fatal loophole in their plan. Little Maoka's face also became very ugly. There was a hint of regret in his eyes. If he could refuse the temptation of the conditions offered by Crown Prince William at that time, and not join them, he would not be implicated now. After all, judging from the current situation, the possibility of Crown Prince William's success is very slim. In addition, William II was actually killed in this mutiny. This undoubtedly made each of them who participated in the mutiny commit a felony. Once Qin Tian learned that William II had been killed, they would all be hanged. If little Moki was given another chance to choose, he would definitely not embark on this road of no return. Even Lieutenant General Pritwitz, who had always hated Qin Tian, turned pale at this moment. He was blinded by hatred before, and he wanted to pull Qin Tian down from the crown prince. Now, not only was he unable to pull Qin Tian down, but he even put himself in. Chapter 559, Last Struggle. Everyone, what should we do now? Don't we just watch Oscar lead the army, defeat the Imperial Guards little by little, and then surround the palace? Finally, break into the palace and capture us all? We not only launched a rebellion, but also killed His Majesty the Emperor. At that time, Oscar will definitely not let us go. What is waiting for us is probably the gallows erected high up, the Duke of Württemberg said. The Duke of Württemberg also regretted it terribly. If he knew that Crown Prince William was so unable to accomplish anything, he said that he should never be involved in this incident. After all, as the Duke of the Kingdom of Württemberg and the commander of the 4th Army, he is definitely a high-ranking person in the German Empire. There's no point in putting yourself in, because of the bad check issued by Crown Prince William. Moreover, maybe the entire Württemberg royal family will also be involved. In that case, he will become a sinner of the Württemberg royal family. The reason why the Duke of Württemberg participated in this rebellion was entirely because Crown Prince William proposed to him that if successful, he would give the Kingdom of Württemberg maximum autonomy. Apart from diplomatic and military power, all other powers belong to the royal family of Württemberg. Even, he can further become the king of the Kingdom of Württemberg from the Duke of Württemberg. This makes the status of the Kingdom of Württemberg just like the Kingdom of Bavaria in the Empire. It has even greater autonomy than the Kingdom of Bavaria. This is undoubtedly an irresistible temptation for the Duke of Württemberg. Of course he wants to expand the power in his hands. If possible, he even hoped that the Kingdom of Württemberg would one day become an independent kingdom. Of course, he knew that in a short time, that was impossible. But the food needs to be eaten bite by bite, and the road needs to be walked step by step. The Duke of Württemberg believed that his goals could one day be achievable. It is precisely because of this that he defeated Crown Prince William. But who knows, this is actually a huge pit. Completely entrapped him. It is even more impossible to jump out of the pit now. This made the Duke of Württemberg very speechless. Oh, if I had known earlier, I shouldn't have been obsessed with ghosts back then. It wouldn't be like this now. The Duke of Württemberg sighed in his heart. It is precisely because of this that he wants to actively find a solution. No, we absolutely can't just sit and wait like this. We have to find a way. Otherwise, we will die. Crown Prince William also said. However, what else can be done now? The strength of the two sides is so disparate. It is impossible to reverse the situation with the Imperial Guard alone. Once the army led by Qin Tian takes down the palace, they are doomed. Your Excellency, Chief of Staff, is there anything else you can do? Crown Prince William looked at little Mauki. There is no doubt that Mauki is the most capable one among his henchmen. If even little Mauki can't do anything, then they are really doomed. Your Highness, the current situation is indeed very unfavorable to us. If we want to reverse the situation, the possibility of success is very slim. Xiao Maoki sighed. Is there no way at all? Prince Ethel Friedrich asked. As the second son of William II, Prince Ethel Friedrich originally had no extravagant hopes for the throne. But Crown Prince William accidentally gave him a chance when he became a vegetable. After all, according to the heir to the throne, he is the second in line to the throne. But unexpectedly, William II directly passed him and passed the crown prince to Qin Tian. This is undoubtedly a heavy blow to him. This also made Prince Ethel Friedrich not only full of hatred for Qin Tian, but also full of hatred for William II. However, if he had known that the mutiny would not succeed, then he would definitely not have participated in anything. After all, as a prince, his treatment is still very good. But once the mutiny fails, he will inevitably be dealt with. Although William II was not killed by him himself, he was an accomplice after all. Qin Tian will definitely not let him go. His Royal Highness, the matter has come to an end. We can only work hard at the end. After all, this matter concerns the lives of all of us. Little Maoki said. Your Excellency, what can you do? Crown Prince William asked. Once again, in the name of His Majesty, send someone to inform His Highness Oscar to come to the palace. Your Majesty summoned him, and His Highness Oscar should come to visit him in every sense and reason. As soon as he enters the palace, we will immediately control him and let him order the army and marine corps to withdraw. Then, we can implement it step by step. Xiaomoki said. Crown Prince William couldn't help frowning, because he knew that Qin Tian would never be so easily fooled. Every fool knows that the palace is now under the control of the rebels. Entering the imperial palace is undoubtedly entering the lair of the rebels on their own initiative. Isn't that a suicide attempt? Your Excellency, Oscar won't be so easy to be fooled, right? Crown Prince William said. Indeed, but what if we use His Majesty's life as a persecution? If he doesn't come to the palace, we will kill His Majesty. At that time, he may be caught in a dilemma. A ruthless look flashed in Xiao Maoki's eyes. Crown Prince William and the others immediately understood what little Moltke meant. Although Wilhelm II is dead. However, this did not prevent them from using the name of William II to lure Qin Tian into the palace. In that case, they still have a chance. Moreover, Crown Prince William and others believe that this also has a certain chance of success. After all, Qin Tian is the crown prince. He can't ignore the life and death of William II. In that case, once the matter gets out, it will have a great impact on Qin Tian's reputation. Very good, very good. Your Excellency L, this will be a very good solution. As long as Oscar can be eliminated, those troops will no longer follow his orders. We can turn defeat into victory. Crown Prince William satisfied very. However, he didn't see the worry in little Maoki's eyes. Xiao Maoki was worried that, even if they killed Qin Tian, those troops might not be able to capture him without a fight. At that time, under the anger of the army, it is possible to kill them all. At that time, the Emperor of the German Empire did not know who would inherit it. Maybe, the German Empire will fall into chaos because of this. It's just that, for the sake of his own life, Xiao Maoki didn't care so much anymore. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 560, Dilemma. Crunch, crunch. The tracks of the tank ran over the last barricade of the rebels. As this barricade was captured by the 9th Armored Division of the army, it marked that all the strongholds of the rebels in Berlin, except the Imperial Palace, had been lost. More than 10,000 rebels who participated in the rebellion suffered heavy casualties, and many people directly surrendered. The remnants were even only more than 2,000 people, and finally entrenched in the palace. Qin Tian and others, after confirming the safety of the surrounding area, directly moved their headquarters to a place not far from the Imperial Palace, so that it is convenient to direct the battle nearby. The rest of the palace is already the final battle. If the Imperial Palace is taken down, then the rebellion this time will be completely suppressed. Your Highness, there are not many rebels entrenched in the palace. If we launch an attack, we can take this place within 2 hours at most. In this case, it won't be delayed until dawn. Admiral Hindenburg said. The fierce battle overnight made the residents in the urban area of Berlin very nervous. Many people are afraid of suffering from unwarranted disasters, and the doors and windows of every household are closed. However, there were still many people who quietly opened the windows and looked at the tanks and soldiers running on the street with serious faces. Such a situation made the people of these empires, no matter how stupid they were, know that there may be great changes in Berlin. Otherwise, how could they openly use force in the capital? Although this is a matter for the upper class, it is far from ordinary people. However, they all hope that their country can always be strong, especially now it is still at war. If the country fails in the war because of this, it will be unacceptable to the people of the empire. Of course, they don't know what happened for the time being. Qin Tian didn't give the order to attack immediately. After all, Kaiser Wilhelm II was still in the palace. If he launched an attack rashly, no one knew whether Crown Prince William would lose his mind and do something crazy. When he was desperate, things come. If he hurt Wilhelm II, then the problem would be troublesome. Of course, that would actually be of great benefit to him. However, as the son of man, he certainly can't show any regrets in this regard. How else would this make other people think? It will destroy his image in the minds of the important ministers of the empire and the people, and it will also have a negative impact on his subsequent succession to the throne and leadership of the entire empire. His Royal Highness, can we launch an attack? We can't delay any longer. The young Major General Rommel asked. Qin Tian looked at the Imperial Palace in the distance and seemed a little uncertain. Your Highness, why don't we persuade them to surrender first? It would be best if the rebels entrenched in the palace could surrender. Prime Minister Bernhard von Bülow suggested. Qin Tian nodded and was about to adopt this suggestion. But at this time, an officer reported that the rebels had sent envoys to see Qin Tian. I think we should meet. I want to see what else they have to say. Qin Tian said. Pay attention to the body search and seize the weapons on the opponent's body. Admiral Hindenburg reminded. The more this time comes, the more attention must be paid to Qin Tian's safety. No one can guarantee whether the rebels will take the risk at this juncture. Take this opportunity to assassinate Qin Tian. If Qin Tian was assassinated, the situation would become even more complicated and difficult. A few minutes later, little Emoki with a livid face walked into Qin Tian's headquarters. That's right, the envoy sent by the rebels is little Maoki. Because this plan was proposed by little Maoki, there was no one in the rebel army who was more suitable for the task of being an envoy than him. If possible, Xiaomoki would certainly not be willing to be this messenger. After all, this is an extremely embarrassing thing. However, for the sake of his own life, he had no choice. If it is left to other people to do it, if it goes wrong, then their plan this time will be a complete failure. At that time, the troops loyal to Qin Tian will definitely storm the palace, and the few rebels entrenched in the palace will definitely not be the opponents of these elite army and marines. At that time, what will happen to those who participated in the rebellion will naturally be predictable. Before entering the headquarters, the German soldiers actually forcibly searched him, which was regarded as a great shame by Xiaomoki. No matter what, he was also the Earl of the German Empire. He also served as the Chief of Staff, and he was even a close friend with William II. Now, Qin Tian's people treat him like this, which is a complete trample and insult to his personality. If he could, he would have turned around and left immediately. However, For the sake of the overall situation, he had to hold back his breath. Therefore, his face naturally became ugly. Earl Maoki, father treats you very well. I really didn't expect that you would actually participate in this rebellion. Qin Tian looked at Zhao Maoki calmly. Little Maoki's eyes flashed a trace of shame. Of course, this is mainly because William II lost his life in this rebellion. Even though little Maoki participated in the rebellion, he never thought that he would kill William II, which made he feel that he was really sorry for his old friend William II. Your Highness, what's the use of talking about it now? We are just our own masters. Little Maoki said coldly. Count Moltke, you are betraying the Empire. The Imperial Army is in a decisive battle with the Allied powers, but you are launching a mutiny in the capital. Have you ever thought about how much impact this will have on the Empire? What if the Empire loses? In this war, you are all sinners of the Empire. Prime Minister Billow accused. Your Excellency Prime Minister, we haven't thought about it that much. We only know that the position of Crown Prince belongs to His Royal Highness Crown Prince William. His Highness Oscar won the position of Crown Prince just by taking advantage of others' danger. Now that His Royal Highness Crown Prince has awakened, of course there is the power has taken back his Crown Prince. In view of the huge gap in strength between the two sides, we had no choice but to do this. Zhao Maoki said, exaggerated words, even if you want to get back the Crown Prince, you don't need to launch a mutiny, right? Let your majesty and the important officials of the empire discuss and solve the problem in a peaceful way, instead of being so extreme. Von Kidron Wachta said. Little Maoki raised the corners of his mouth slightly, with a sneering smile on his face. A peaceful solution, do you think it's possible? Little Maoki asked back. Feng? Kidron? Wachta suddenly speechless. He also knew that with Qin Tian's current strength, no one could depose him from the position of Crown Prince, not even William II. Chapter 561, Qin Tian's Wrath. Your Excellency, what is the purpose of your visit this time? Please make it clear, and you don't need to go around in circles like this anymore. Qin Tian asked expressionlessly. He didn't want to waste time like this anymore. Little Maoki glanced at Qin Tian, and then said, His Royal Highness Oscar, I have ordered you to enter the palace immediately. Your Majesty has something to tell you personally. What? Qin Tian was taken aback. Prime Minister Billow, Foreign Minister Wachta, Admiral Hindenburg and others were also stunned. No one expected that the other party would actually make such a request. At this juncture, letting Qin Tian enter the palace, even a fool can guess, it is definitely a sheep entering the tiger's mouth. Your Highness, I can't agree, it's too dangerous. Yes, Your Highness. The palace has been occupied by rebels. If you enter the palace, you will definitely fall into their hands. Your Highness, please issue an order. We can take down the palace in just half an hour. Obviously, these important ministers of the empire thought that it would be very dangerous for Qin Tian to enter the palace now, and everyone disagreed with him entering the palace. Little Maoki was secretly anxious. If Qin Tian refused to enter the palace, would all their plans fail soon? At that time, these people will never have a chance again. His Royal Highness Oscar, this is His Majesty's order. Could it be that you are going to disobey His Majesty's order? Little Maoki said. HMPH. Your Majesty's order? I'm afraid this is an order issued by some people in the name of His Majesty. If you want His Highness to enter the palace, that's fine. The rebels in the palace should leave the palace immediately, and we will take over the palace defense. General Hindenburg said forcefully. No. Crown Prince William will not agree. Your Highness Oscar, you have to think carefully. The current Crown Prince William is very emotional. Once he senses danger, will he do something drastic? But it's hard to say. Zhao Maoki forced him step by step. Bastard. Little Maoki, can you say such a thing? You actually use His Majesty's safety to persecute His Highness. It is really shameless. Prime Minister Billow and others cursed. Little Maoki flashed a trace of shame and anger, but he did not quarrel with Prime Minister Billow and the others, but looked at Qin Tian, waiting for him answer. Qin Tian couldn't help being caught in a dilemma now. He could imagine what Crown Prince William and the others were thinking with his toes. For the sake of his own safety, he certainly didn't want to enter the palace at this time. If he entered the palace and the people of Crown Prince William shot him, then he didn't think he would be invulnerable. At that time, all his dreams will be in vain. However, if he directly refuses, it is undoubtedly that he does not take William II's life seriously. Once this falls into the ears of caring people, it will definitely cause a lot of trouble. Your Highness, have you considered it? Xiao Maoki pressed forward step by step. Qin Tian frowned. He really didn't know what to do. Your Highness, don't fall for their tricks. Admiral Hindenburg persuaded. Other important ministers of the empire also spoke to persuade. What they meant was to tell Qin Tian not to put himself in danger. When Qin Tian was having difficulty making a decision, an unexpected person came. Your Highness, please see Mr. Jonalit. An officer reported. Mr. Jonalit, please come in. Qin Tian said immediately. Subsequently, father and son Essen von Jonarit and Karol von Jonarit entered the headquarters. As soon as he saw the two of them, especially Essen von Jonarit, little Maoki's expression became very ugly. After they invaded the palace, they have been looking for Essen von Jonarit, but they have never found it. Essen von Jonarit was the steward of the palace, and after the guards entered the palace, they tried to catch him. But in the end, he still failed to succeed, and was slipped away by him. Now, he appeared here. This made Xiao Maoki feel a very bad feeling in his heart. Your Highness, something is wrong. His Majesty was killed, and His Highness Prince William fired the gun himself. Essen von Jonalit cried. What? Father was killed, or did Prince do it himself? Qin Tian's eyes widened, and he couldn't believe this fact at all. Other important military and political officials of the empire were also shocked beyond measure. Although, they had guessed before that William II might be in danger, after being controlled by the rebels. But they didn't expect that they dared to really kill William II. Especially Crown Prince William himself. This is really unbelievable. However, Essen von Jonarit, he is the Emperor's steward. His testimony is undoubtedly very convincing. Nonsense. Jonalit, you are simply spreading rumors. Your Highness Oscar, you don't want to enter the palace. You don't want to care about His Majesty's life and death. And you don't need to find someone to act in such a play. Little Maoki cursed. Although he was a bit flustered, he knew that he absolutely could not admit that William II was dead. Otherwise, their plan would not have been successful. If the angry Qin Tian sent troops to attack the palace, the rebels would not be able to resist anyway. When the time comes, one can imagine what will happen. HMPH. Qin Tian glanced at little Maoki and snorted coldly. Xiao Maoki's panic was seen in his eyes. He could almost guess that William II was probably really killed. Although, the death of William II is of great benefit to Qin Tian. After all, the other party is still his cheap father, who also gave him a lot of help. As the son of William II and the Crown Prince of the Empire, of course he wanted to avenge William II. Mr. Jonalit, what's going on? Qin Tian asked. Your Highness, I was hiding outside the window of the hall and heard with my own ears that Prince William forced His Majesty to issue an edict of abdication and pass on the throne to him. His Majesty refused, reprimanded Prince William and slapped him in the face. Out of embarrassment, Prince William shot His Majesty with a pistol, Jonalit said. Damn it, Prince actually killed his father. He is a guy who is not as good as a beast. Qin Tian was furious. Crack. Immediately, Qin Tian did something that no one expected. He rushed in front of little Maoki with a stride, and before he could react, he slapped him, which slapped half of his face swollen. You despicable bastard, you are also an accomplice. Come, put him in custody. General Hindenburg ordered a total attack on the palace. After half an hour, the palace must be taken down. Those masterminds involved in the rebellion, you can't let them go. Qin Tian issued an order. Chapter 562. Animals are not as good as. Little Maoki was taken down by the guards, and he never thought that he would be slapped hard by Qin Tian. He wanted to resist, but was held back by the wolf-like guards, and could only curse. Damn Oscar, how dare you hit me? I won't let you go. Little Maoki was furious. HMPH. I don't know how to live or die. Qin Tian snorted coldly. The military and political ministers who are loyal to Qin Tian also know that Qin Tian is planning to kill this time. Although, Moltke has a high status in Germany. However, they actually killed William II during this rebellion. It was too wrong to do so. No wonder Qin Tian was so angry. Although the power of the monarchy in Germany is greatly restricted, it is impossible to decide a person's life and death without authorization, especially the life and death of the imperial nobles, which needs to be tried by a court. But they all believed that those who participated in the rebellion this time were absolutely dead. They have committed sins for which even God will not forgive them. Your Highness, please be sad and resigned. No one would have thought that Prince William would do such a thing. Prime Minister Billow's face was very ugly. The emperor was actually killed in the rebellion, especially by his own son. This is a great event, Your Highness. The most important thing now is to quell the rebellion and restore the empire's ruling order. You know, it is still during the war. If this affects the empire's performance in this war, then it will be in big trouble. Foreign Secretary Wahid also said. Qin Tian nodded. I know. I'll leave it to you to deal with government affairs. Admiral Hindenburg has given the order to attack. The German 101st Infantry Division, 9th Armored Division and 1st Marine Division launched an attack on the palace. At this moment, in the palace, Crown Prince William and the others were running around in anxiety, like ants on a hot pot. Will Earl Moltke succeed this time? I hope that guy Oscar can be fooled. If he is not fooled, what should I do? Crown Prince William was already at a loss. He put all his hopes on little Maoki. If Xiao Maoki can lure Qin Tian to the palace, then they may still have a chance to turn defeat into victory. Otherwise, they will be dead this time. Although Crown Prince William is Qin Tian's elder brother, he knows that Qin Tian will not let him go after he accidentally killed William II. If he fails, what awaits him may be a glass of poisoned wine, a bullet, or even a noose. With Earl Moltke's ability, he should be able to persuade Oscar to enter the palace. After all, they don't know that His Majesty has passed away, threatening His Majesty's safety. Oscar has absolutely no other way. The Duke of Württemberg said optimistically. There is no way not to be optimistic. If everyone continues to panic, then there is no need to continue to persist. Just surrender. Ordinary soldiers may be able to surrender. In that case, a life can be saved. However, these people are all masterminds. Even if they surrender, they will probably die. Therefore, they do not have the slightest confidence in this. Your Highness, don't worry, God will bless us. We will definitely win. Lieutenant General Pritwitz also said. Crown Prince William smiled bitterly. Will God bless him, the man who killed his own father? He didn't quite believe it. At this time, there were fierce gunfire outside the palace. Suddenly, the faces of those people waiting in the palace changed drastically. His Royal Highness, they are attacking. Many enemy troops under the cover of tanks launched a fierce attack on the palace. I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to resist their attack. A battalion commander of the Imperial Guard covered in blood reported. It's over. This time it's completely over. Lieutenant General Plitvich slumped to the ground. Other people, as if all the bones in their bodies were pulled out at this moment, softened all of a sudden. They all knew that this was the failure of little Maoki's plan. Therefore, the Army and Marine Corps will attack. This also means that they are probably doomed this time. Damn it, that fellow Oscar, did he actually disregard his father's life or death? He actually ordered the army to attack directly. Isn't he afraid of something happening to his father? Crown Prince William was furious. He seemed to have forgotten that he could even shoot William II with his own hands. So what qualifications did he have to accuse Qin Tian of not caring about the life and death of William II? No matter how much Qin Tian goes too far, he can't compare with him at all. Your Highness, what should we do now? Marshal Goltz asked. What to do? How do I know what to do? Can the Imperial Guards withstand the enemy's attack? If they can't, then we all have a dead end. Crown Prince William said with a dark face. It is obviously impossible for the Praetorian Guards to withstand the attack of the elite army and marines, especially when the opponent dispatched a large number of tanks. Since William II is dead, the army attacking the palace naturally does not have to be restrained. Although no heavy artillery was used for shelling, the tank guns of the tanks were already able to pose a fatal threat to the Janissaries. Boom. The tank directly smashed the wall of the palace, and a large number of infantry followed the tank and rushed into the palace. The battle is completely one-sided. Facing the fierce attack of the Army and Marine Corps, the Praetorian Guards collapsed immediately. Although they are very brave soldiers. However, at this time, they could no longer see any hope. Under such circumstances, they quickly collapsed, which is naturally understandable. In less than half an hour, the army and marines captured the palace. All the masterminds involved in this rebellion were also captured. When Qin Tian and the others entered the palace hall under the protection of the guards, they happened to see these guys sitting dejectedly on the chairs in the hall. When they saw Qin Tian, many people showed panic in their eyes. They were obviously worried that Qin Tian would severely punish them. Oscar, you won. Unexpectedly, I lost to you in the end. Crown Prince William looked at Qin Tian and said, "You despicable and shameless bastard. You actually killed your father. You are not as good as a beast." Qin Tian roared angrily. He lifted Crown Prince William from the wheelchair and gave him with one punch. He was knocked to the ground. Chapter 563, The Queen Pleads. "Damn it, Oscar, you dare to hit me. Don't forget, you stole the crown prince from me. Everything I did was to get back what belongs to me." Crown Prince William was furious. Angry, he yelled heart-piercingly, "Your crown prince? No, that never belonged to you. My crown prince was given to me by my father and the people of the entire German Empire." Qin Tian sneered. "Sophistry. No matter how much you quibble, it can't change that you are a despicable and shameless thief." Crown Prince William's eyes were red, and they were full of burning anger. If anger could kill, Qin Tian would have been burned to ashes long ago. "You are not as good as a beast who killed your father. Just wait, I will not let you go," Qin Tian said viciously. Although Crown Prince William is his eldest brother, however, there is no family relationship between them at all. What's more, Crown Prince William can even do such things as patricide, which shows how much hatred he has in his heart. Qin Tian didn't dare to leave such a disaster behind. Otherwise, it would become a time bomb, and he might be blown up at some point. For the sake of his own life, Qin Tian naturally wanted to solve the problem once and for all. This time, for him, is undoubtedly an opportunity. Since Crown Prince William committed such a great crime, of course he should take this opportunity to get rid of him. "What? Oscar, do you still want to kill me? It is certainly a great crime for me to kill my father. But you are not a good person if you kill your own brother," Crown Prince William said triumphantly, as if he thought he was eating it the same as Qin Tian. He believes that if Qin Tian wants to become the emperor of the German Empire, he cannot allow himself to be stained. He will not be too harsh on his elder brother. Either way, he should be able to save his life. "You are delusional. Let me tell you, you are dead this time. I believe that the court will give you a fair verdict," Qin Tian said. He knew what Crown Prince William was thinking. However, no matter what, he will not let the other party succeed. Damn it, Oscar, you can't speak out like that. I'm your big brother. Big deal. I won't compete with you for the crown prince position. Just let me go. Besides, I killed the royal father. It's bad for you. There are also huge benefits. You can't cross the river and tear down the bridge. Crown Prince William roared loudly. HMPH. Beast. Qin Tian snorted coldly. "Oscar, I didn't do anything, and I didn't kill the emperor. This matter has nothing to do with me. It's my brother who coerced me." Prince Ethel Friedrich begged. He also heard Qin Tian's killing intent from Qin Tian's words, and was afraid that Qin Tian would kill him too, so he hurriedly begged for mercy. HMPH. "Second brother, even if you are not the mastermind, you are still an accomplice. You have contributed a lot in this rebellion. Otherwise, father would not have been killed." Qin Tian said to this second brother also didn't have a good face. After Crown Prince William became a vegetable last time, he started jumping up and down, trying to compete with Qin Tian for the position of crown prince. As a result, he failed to succeed, which made him hold a grudge. However, after Qin Tian obtained the position of crown prince, he did not have the same knowledge as him. But he didn't expect that this time, he actually rebelled with Crown Prince William, which made Qin Tian unbearable. "Oscar, you can't do this," Prince Ethel Friedrich implored. However, Qin Tian simply ignored him. "His Royal Highness Oscar, this is a misunderstanding. I was deceived by Prince William, so I joined the rebellion. I assure you, this is absolutely not my original intention." the Duke of Württemberg also said hastily, although bowing his head and begging for mercy to a young man like Qin Tian made him feel very sorry. However, for his own sake, and also for the benefit of the Württemberg royal family, he had to do this. HMPH. Your Excellency, do you think I will believe you? Qin Tian said coldly. At that time, the Duke of Württemberg attempted to transfer the Fourth Army back to the country. If he succeeds, it will cause chaos for the German Empire. Your Highness, please trust me. If you can let me go this time, from now on, the royal family of Württemberg will follow His Highness's lead. The Duke of Württemberg promised. But, will Qin Tian believe his guarantee? The various states that make up the German Empire have more or less certain autonomy. This was to win over them at the time, to ensure the unity of the empire. But with the development of the empire to the present, the royal families of those states have become obstacles to the further strengthening of the empire. Qin Tian also hopes that in the future, he can find a way to weaken their full power and promote the centralization of the country. In that case, it would be good for the entire German Empire. This time, the Duke of Württemberg even delivered it to his door. Of course, he would not miss this opportunity. If it is manipulated well, it can even uproot the Württemberg royal family in one fell swoop. Let the Kingdom of Württemberg become a territory directly under the empire, or a state. Therefore, no matter what Qin Tian said, he would not let the Duke of Württemberg go. Lieutenant General Prittwitz cried bitterly, wanting Qin Tian to let him go. In Qin Tian's eyes, a person like Lieutenant General Prittwitz is nothing more than a small person. But now, he didn't dare to take it lightly for such a small person. Sometimes, these little people can also cause huge destructive power. Qin Tian didn't want to regret it later. Lieutenant General Graf, the general of the guards, was very tough. However, since he led the army to participate in the rebellion, then, he must die too. After taking all these masterminds under strict supervision, Qin Tian and the others went to see the remains of William II. Although the current temperature is not too high, but if the body continues to be put down, it will soon stink. Prime Minister Billow and others are already discussing to hold a funeral for William II as soon as possible. Qin Tian handed over all these matters to them, then went upstairs to see Queen Victoria. Although, his relationship with Queen Victoria was not good, but she is the mother of this body after all, especially now that such an accident has happened. Mother, are you okay? Please let me be sorry. Qin Tian said. Oscar, you are back. God, I really didn't expect this to happen. What happened to Prince? He actually killed his own father. Victoria cried. Qin Tian had no choice but to comfort her. Oscar, I have to say that Prince has committed an unforgivable crime. But can you let him live? Queen Victoria said suddenly. Chapter 564. All hung. Qin Tian couldn't help frowning tightly. He also did not expect that at this time, Queen Victoria would intercede for Crown Prince William. After all, she saw her husband die at the gunpoint of Crown Prince William. Although, Qin Tian already knew, both William II and Queen Victoria loved Crown Prince William very much. He has always been trained as the heir of the empire. However, you must know that what Crown Prince William committed now is the unforgivable crime of killing his father. Oscar, Prince is completely out of his mind for launching this rebellion. It was not his intention to kill His Majesty. He was beaten by His Majesty at the time, so he became angry and acted recklessly. In addition, he just woke up from a vegetative state, so he committed such a serious crime. Queen Victoria seemed not to see Qin Tian's increasingly ugly face, and continued to plead for mercy. Although Queen Victoria hated Crown Prince William very much, he had already lost his husband, but he didn't want to lose his most beloved son. If that's the case, she simply can't stand that kind of blow. Qin Tian exhaled deeply, as if he wanted to vent the depression in his heart. He couldn't understand Queen Victoria's point of view at all. You can't forgive Crown Prince William for his sins, just because you love him so much. You know, every sin is almost unforgivable. Mother, Prince not only launched a rebellion, but also killed his father. How can he plead for him for his behavior? Have you ever thought that after he killed his father and queen, he wants to trick me into the palace? Once I'm really deceived, what will happen to me? I'm afraid I will be killed by him too. Qin Tian said with a wry smile. Oscar, no. Prince just wants to get back the throne. He won't really kill you. After all, the throne originally belonged to him. If he hadn't become a vegetable, you would have. I can't be the crown prince. What's more, His Majesty promised that once he wakes up, you should return the position of crown prince to prince. Now, he should know that he is wrong, and he will not extravagantly ask for the throne, so you let it go him," said Queen Victoria. Qin Tian was very speechless. He had finally seen what it means to be a loving mother who loses her life. Why are they all her sons? But Queen Victoria dotes on Crown Prince William to such an extent. Although Queen Victoria is also his mother. However, Qin Tian knew that this time he had to be ruthless. Otherwise, there will be endless troubles. What's more, since Queen Victoria didn't take his son seriously, then he didn't need to bother with these so-called family affections anymore. Anyway, the real Prince Oscar is long dead. The present him is Qin Tian. It's just borrowing the body of Prince Oscar. It will be very easy to give up these family ties. Mother, I'm sorry, but I can't agree to your request. The big brother's mistake this time is unforgivable. I believe that the court will give him a fair trial. Even if I'm the crown prince of the empire, I cannot interfere with the law fairness," Qin Tian said coldly. Queen Victoria was stunned for a moment. Her face became even more silly white, with no blood left. "Queen, please rest well. The rebellion is over, and I will take care of the aftermath." After Qin Tian finished speaking, he saluted Queen Victoria, and then left the room. "Oscar, you can't do this," Queen Victoria exclaimed. Now he no longer looks like a queen, just like a savage village woman. But Qin Tian didn't pay attention to it at all. After going downstairs, Qin Tian returned directly to the headquarters with an uneasy expression on his face. "His Royal Highness, what's the matter?" Prime Minister Billow and Foreign Minister Wasid were discussing the funeral of William II. "Your Majesty, you want me to let Prince go?" Qin Tian said. "What? How is this possible?" Prime Minister Billow exclaimed. "He killed His Majesty, launched a mutiny, and wanted to usurp power. Absolutely unforgivable." Foreign Minister Wahid also said. "After all, the nature of the incident this time is really too bad. Nothing like this has ever happened since the founding of the German Empire. If you don't punish severely, how can you warn future generations? Your Highness, we will immediately organize a special court to try all those involved. Does your Highness have any requirements for this?" Prime Minister Billow asked. Although Western countries advocate judicial fairness, however, that is just to deceive ordinary people. For those who hold the power of the country, the tricks of the judiciary are nothing more than a ruling tool for them, and they serve them completely. Qin Tian thought for a while, and then said, "The masterminds who participated in this mutiny must not be spared. I will hang them all. Those soldiers, depending on the severity of the case, should be sentenced to punishment, and those who should be shot." Qin Tian knew that this time he had to be hard-hearted. "Yes, Your Highness. However, Your Highness, will the Duke of Württemberg also be sentenced to hang? In that case, the Kingdom of Württemberg may fall into chaos. The influence of the Württemberg royal family in the Kingdom of Württemberg is still great." Yes. Prime Minister Billow was a little worried. "No matter what, the Duke of Württemberg can't stay. If possible, the royal family of Württemberg can definitely stay. I will order the other troops of the 9th Army to be transferred to the country. The Marine Corps, 2 more divisions will be mobilized. These troops will go to the Kingdom of Württemberg as quickly as possible. If the royal family dares to make any changes, I will uproot them. Let the Kingdom of Württemberg become a state of the empire completely." A murderous intent flashed in Qin Tian's eyes. Although both Prime Minister Billow and Minister of Foreign Affairs Wahid felt that Qin Tian was a bit too tough. But they also know that this is undoubtedly a very good opportunity to strengthen the centralization of power. The Kingdom of Württemberg will become a breakthrough point for them to weaken local power and strengthen centralization. If you can open up the situation here, it will be much easier in the future. "Okay, Your Highness, let's do it according to your opinion. I will instruct the judge in charge of the trial and sentence them to hang," Prime Minister Billow said. Qin Tian nodded and didn't say much. Although those masterminds included his 2 elder brothers. However, he has no psychological burden at all to send them to the gallows. Chapter 565, Funeral. Time passed little by little, and when the sun rose, the residents of downtown Berlin finally walked out of their homes. The sound of gunfire has long since ceased, and the smell of gunpowder smoke in the air has completely dissipated. However, it seemed that a little residual asterisk smell could still be smelled. On the street, bomb craters on some buildings that were blown up can also be seen. There are even dense bullet holes on the buildings around the street. People started talking about what really happened last night. Some people speculated that it was enemy forces who had infiltrated Berlin. Our army fought a fierce battle with the enemy. Some people also speculated that there was a rebellion, because the two warring parties were obviously the guards and army guarding around Berlin, as well as soldiers wearing another kind of military uniform. Ordinary people know very little information, which makes them naturally develop various guesses and associations. If they are allowed to continue to speculate and associate, the rumors will inevitably intensify and even endanger the stability of society. Fortunately, Qin Tian already had a countermeasure against this. Early in the morning, there were publicity vehicles organized by the government and the military to publicize what happened to the public, confidentially to the people about the rebellion masterminded by Crown Prince William, Prince Ethel Friedrich, Little Moltke, Duke of Württemberg, Marshal Goltz, Lieutenant General Prittwitz and Marshal Graf. Qin Tian, Prime Minister Bismarck and others discussed whether to conceal the truth. The government originally planned to cover it up, but Qin Tian did not agree. After all, William II was killed by Crown Prince William during the rebellion, and this must be known to the public. Otherwise, there will definitely be a lot of speculation among the people about the death of William II. At that time, it will inevitably cause unnecessary troubles, and even lead to Qin Tian. Qin Tian didn't want his right to inherit the throne to be questioned because of this. However, it was obvious that Qin Tian himself was worrying too much. After the war broke out, the army commanded by Qin Tian won major victories on the eastern and western fronts. This has already made countless people of the empire pay homage to him. Although William II broke the law of succession to the throne and made Qin Tian the crown prince of the empire, which caused dissatisfaction among some people. But in front of Qin Tian's achievements, those dissatisfaction and doubts have long since disappeared. Didn't Crown Prince William become a vegetable? Why did he suddenly wake up again? I don't know. Maybe it's a medical miracle. However, it is God's blessing that he can wake up. But why did he launch a rebellion? He also killed His Majesty the Emperor. This is really despicable and shameless. You know, His Majesty the Emperor is his father, HMPH. Isn't for inheriting the throne. After waking up from a vegetative state, he found that his crown prince had flown away. Moreover, His Royal Highness Oscar still did such a good job, he must be jealous. In such a situation now, of course, anything can be done. Yeah. For the sake of the throne, even family affection is ignored. Such a person should not live in this world at all. It was a complete mistake for God to wake him up from a vegetative state. Let he sleep all the time and die in a deep sleep. It's the best. The most pitiful ones are undoubtedly the soldiers of the Praetorian Guards. They are the ones who are innocent. It was the commanders who asked them to do that. They were just obeying orders. Now it's alright. Take yourself. It was taken in addition to Crown Prince William and Prince Friedrich, there are so many big figures involved. Even Moltke, who was the former chief of staff. There are also big figures like the Duke of Württemberg. This wouldn't it cause chaos in the empire? HMPH. These guys are even more damnable. Now is the time for the empire to fight against Britain and France. Seeing that our army has already gained the upper hand on the battlefield, the army led by His Royal Highness is defeating the enemy and winning the victory. But doing this in the rear. Isn't this going to make us lose the war? Once the war is lost, everything will be over. Yeah. It's too bad. If we lose the war, then they are the culprits. They should all be hanged. Fortunately, it didn't cause too much impact. But even so, they can't be spared lightly. Hanging them is absolutely right. The people of the empire almost unconditionally sided with Qin Tian in this rebellion. After all, Qin Tian's side is obviously victorious now. People also hope to be on the side of the winner. In addition, Qin Tian's performance is undoubtedly much more dazzling than Crown Prince William, who has made no achievements in the position of Crown Prince. The people of the empire naturally hope that the empire will develop better and better. In this way, they will be able to enjoy a series of benefits after the empire becomes stronger. Although, there are still some unfavorable voices against Qin Tian. However, generally speaking, the people of the empire are on Qin Tian's side. This made Qin Tian heave a sigh of relief. Qin Tian discussed with the cabinet and military ministers about the funeral time of William II. Since William II has passed away for 3 days, if it is delayed any longer, the body will rot. So, Qin Tian and the cabinet set the date of William II's funeral as April 30th. Although, time is very tight, and the funeral cannot be prepared too well, because of the rush of time. But now is the period of war, and it is understandable to keep everything simple. On the morning of April 30th, the heads of states of the empire, important members of the cabinet and military leaders, as well as the nobles and representatives of all walks of life of the empire, attended the funeral of William II. The whole funeral, although simple, was solemn and solemn. For Wilhelm II, although he was a bit headstrong and conceited, he led Germany to become stronger step by step. Many of them attended the funeral to see off their beloved emperor. William II was buried in the royal cemetery, although his hegemony has not yet been completed. However, the empire has shown signs of final victory. It can be said that the victory of the empire in this war is already foreseeable. The hegemony you haven't achieved, I will definitely achieve it for you. The future German Empire will definitely become the most powerful empire in the world. Qin Tian said in his heart in front of the tombstone of William II. Chapter 566, Row of Gallows. At the funeral of William II, representatives of people from all walks of life in the empire, and even envoys from various countries to the German Empire expressed their condolences for the death of William II. Of course, there are also some countries that gloat over others' misfortune, wishing that the German Empire would be as chaotic as possible. In this case, they may be able to fish in troubled waters. For example, Britain and France, they have been suppressed by Germany. On the French battlefield, the Anglo-French coalition was defeated again and again. After the rebellion, they rejoiced greatly. He even wanted to launch a counterattack on the battlefield to see if he could defeat the German army in one fell swoop. It's just that, when they tentatively launched an attack, they were beaten back by the German army waiting in full force, which made them honest. However, it is naturally indispensable for these two countries to slander the German Empire and Qin Tian in the international community. Although this is of no use to them in reversing the situation of the war, it can at least make them vent their anger. In the current battle situation, it is undoubtedly very difficult for Britain and France to defeat the German army on the battlefield. Therefore, they can only vent their anger from other places. Of course, this will not have any impact on Qin Tian and the German Empire. The others are not fools, so they can naturally guess their sinister intentions. After the funeral of William II ended in a hurry, the imperial court opened. This time the court session is mainly to hear Crown Prince William and others who participated in the rebellion. They will all be here to receive a fair judicial trial. The judge of the special court is the judge of the Supreme Court of the Empire, and the other members are also selected elite soldiers. There is only one purpose, and that is to ensure that Qin Tian's will can be carried out in this trial. Now that William II has passed away, Qin Tian, as the Crown Prince of the Empire, is undoubtedly the only legal heir to the imperial throne. Although he has not yet ascended the throne and proclaimed himself emperor, he has undoubtedly become the most powerful person in the empire. Prince William, you are accused of launching a mutiny on the night of April 26th, attacking the royal palace, the general staff, the admiralty and various government agencies. And during the mutiny, you shot and killed His Majesty the Emperor. To this, you plead guilty, is it? Asked the justice. I'm not guilty. I launched a mutiny just to get back the rest of my right to inherit the throne. I'm the Crown Prince of the Empire. Oscar is a despicable thief who stole my throne. I must get back what belongs to me, the throne. I should do this as I should. Crown Prince William obviously roared angrily. At this point, instead of pleading guilty, he made things worse. He still believed that the throne originally belonged to him. His Majesty William II bestowed the title of Crown Prince to His Royal Highness Oscar. There is no objection to this. However, you held a grudge because of this and killed His Majesty the Emperor. The justice continued to ask, no, I didn't kill my father. It was just an accident. He hit me, and I pulled out the pistol in anger. I just wanted to scare him, and I didn't think about shooting killed him. It was an accident, said Crown Prince William. Despite Crown Prince William's repeated quibbles. However, no matter how much he quibbles, it will be futile when there are all personal and material evidence. After conferring with the other members, the Lord Chancellor read the judgment. The Special Court made the following ruling. Prince William launched a mutiny and captured the capital Berlin, which had an extremely bad impact on the empire. At the same time, he also killed His Majesty the Emperor during the mutiny. Now, for the crime of endangering the country and homicide, he is sentenced to Prince William hanged. Execute immediately. Hanging? No, you're going to hang me? Damn, Oscar that **** guy. I am his big brother. He wants to hang me. I don't agree. You judges, you are not fair at all. It's Oscar that the guy put pressure on you, right? You can't hang me. Crown Prince William yelled like crazy. However, no one paid attention to him at all. The wolf-like bailiff immediately arrested him and dragged him out. I don't know when. A row of gallows has been erected outside the court. Seeing the row of gallows, Crown Prince William's legs went limp. He probably never thought that he would end his life in such a way. Asshole, I'm the Crown Prince of the Empire, the future Emperor of the Empire. You can't kill me like this. Crown Prince William roared loudly. But those bailiffs were completely deaf to his shouts. They dragged Crown Prince William to the gallows like a dead dog. Then, put his neck in the lock sleeve. Push him out again. Crown Prince William kept shaking his limbs, kicking and kicking, as if he wanted to make a final struggle. However, all this is in vain. Soon, Crown Prince William stopped moving. He was hung on the gallows, his eyes were wide open, and his tongue was sticking out long, looking very terrifying. Many onlookers couldn't help closing their eyes. However, more people cheered. They all believed that Crown Prince William was the culprit of the rebellion, the culprit for the death of so many Janissaries. This made them naturally not have a good look at Crown Prince William. After the trial of Crown Prince William, the second turn is Prince Ethel Friedrich. Compared to Crown Prince William, Prince Ethel Friedrich was even more unbearable. He wept bitterly in court and confessed his guilt. However, he did not admit that he was an accomplice in the murder of William II. He pushed all the responsibilities to Crown Prince William in an attempt to save his own life in this way. However, all this is in vain. The judge still sentenced him to hang for the crime of endangering national security and homicide. When he learned that he was going to be hanged, Prince Ethel Friedrich was terrified. He yelled in horror, causing those watching the trial to frown. Especially when Prince Ethel Friedrich was dragged out and saw Crown Prince William who had been hanged. The update **** in horror. Even so, he was hung on the gallows by those bailiffs and went to accompany Crown Prince William. Besides Crown Prince Wilhelm and Prince Ethel Friedrich, 5 gallows are empty. This also means that the 7 masterminds who planned the mutiny will all be hanged. Of course, this is mainly due to Qin Tian's instruction. The special court fully carried out Qin Tian's intention. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 567, March to Stuttgart. Little Marquis was very tough when he was being judged. In the face of the court's various charges, he expressed silence, neither deny nor admit. With a noble background, he undoubtedly has an extremely lofty status in Germany. This made him face the trial with a cold face and contempt of the court. However, even though he was so uncooperative, the judge still sentenced Moltke to be hanged. After showing a lot of evidence in court, the Duke of Württemberg also refused to plead guilty when he was on trial. He claimed that he had no intention of participating in the rebellion, but that Crown Prince William had been blinded. The death of William II was directly shot by Crown Prince William and had nothing to do with him. He even tried to use his identity and status to put pressure on the court. in order to be able to be sent down lightly. But it is a pity that the court has already obtained Qin Tian's instruction, and it is absolutely impossible for the Duke of Württemberg to be forgiven. What's more, after the rebellion, the Duke of Württemberg attempted to transfer the 4th Army back home to participate in the rebellion. This is undoubtedly what Qin Tian can't bear. Once the 4th Army returns to China to participate in the rebellion, it will have a very negative impact on the counter-rebellion this time. It will even put the German Empire at an extremely disadvantageous position in this war. Therefore, Qin Tian will never let him go easily. When the justice announced that the Duke of Württemberg was to be hanged, he immediately collapsed. He yelled in court, declaring that it was Qin Tian who sabotaged him. He also claimed that the Kingdom of Württemberg and the royal family of Württemberg will never let it go. The last 3 to be tried were Marshal Goltz, Lieutenant General Plitwitz and Lieutenant General Graf. In addition to Lieutenant General Graf's tough performance, Marshal Goltz and Lieutenant General Plitwitz performed very unbearably. Although they all confessed in court and expressed their remorse, they hoped to be forgiven and given a lighter sentence. However, he still hasn't been forgiven. The court still sentenced the 3 of them to hang and executed immediately. The entire trial only took half a day. After that, 7 corpses were hung on the gallows in front of the court. These corpses are like flags hanging on flagpoles. The onlookers in Berlin seem to have become numb. Seeing those big figures whose eyes are usually higher than the top, being hung up one after another, ending their own lives, there seems to be an indescribable pleasure in their hearts. Of course, there are also some people on the gallows, suffering in a dim world. For example, the families of these people who were hanged. The wife and child of Crown Prince William, the wife and child of Prince Ethel Friedrich, the family of Little Moldk, and the families of the others who were hanged. They cried and cursed Qin Tian. However, he did not dare to have other extreme behaviors. Now these people are all the military and secret agencies of the empire, and they are the focus of monitoring. Once it is found that they have acted against the empire, or have other malicious acts, they will be stopped immediately, or even arrested. William II is dead. Crown Prince William and Ethel, Prince Friedrich also died. This made Qin Tian's succession to the throne no longer subject to any threat. Although, he has 2 older brothers. However, they did not participate in the mutiny this time, and they were shocked by Qin Tian's iron-blooded methods at the same time. If it is said that they still had some thoughts about the throne before, so now, they already deeply know that the throne is not something they can get their hands on. Otherwise, maybe even my own life will be involved. They don't want to be hanged on the gallows like Crown Prince William and Prince Ethel Friedrich. Being able to be a prince and get their due share of the royal property every year has made them very satisfied. Could it be that, because of lack of greed, he would end up committing suicide? However, Qin Tian insisted on executing Crown Prince William, but made Queen Victoria completely hate him. When attending the funeral of William II, Queen Victoria's face has been very ugly. Outsiders may think that this is because William II died, so she was too sad. However, only Qin Tian knew that Queen Victoria was angry because Qin Tian insisted on executing Crown Prince William. Even so, Qin Tian still insisted on his plan. Crown Prince William's mutiny failed this time, and he cried bitterly, begging for forgiveness. But it was impossible for Qin Tian to trust him, and it was impossible for him to give him another chance. In Qin Tian's view, kindness to the enemy is cruelty to himself. Therefore, he will not let Crown Prince William go anyway. As long as this time bomb is completely eliminated, he will feel at ease. Your Highness, His Majesty's funeral has already been held. The trial of Crown Prince William and others has also been carried out. Next, it is your turn to enthroned. As the Crown Prince of the Empire, when His Majesty dies, you should take it for granted. It's time to succeed to the throne and become the Emperor of the Empire. Prime Minister Bismarck said. Yes, Your Highness. Although the current domestic situation is still very stable. However, if the throne continues to hang like this, it will have many adverse effects. Foreign Minister Wahid also said. Other important officials of the empire spoke out one after another, asking Qin Tian to ascend the throne as soon as possible. As for the throne, Qin Tian doesn't want it, that's impossible. However, before ascending the throne, he still has things to deal with. Let's put it aside for now. I have been paying attention to the situation in the Kingdom of Württemberg. The Duke of Württemberg was hanged, but the royal family of Württemberg has been silent and has not expressed any opinions. This is undoubtedly very unsatisfactory. It's normal. The news we got is that they are plotting to betray the empire. Therefore, we must take precautions early. After the matter of the Kingdom of Württemberg is resolved, I will ascend the throne and proclaim myself emperor. Qin Tian said, Your Highness, the Kingdom of Württemberg is an important state of the empire, especially now that it is at a critical moment of war. If the Kingdom of Württemberg breaks out, the consequences will be very serious. Minister of War and Chief of the General Staff Feng Farerkenhain said. Qin Tian nodded. The Kingdom of Württemberg has many heavy industries, and Stuttgart is an important manufacturing base. There are many military-related enterprises there. Therefore, there can be no mistakes. General Hindenburg, the 9th Army, immediately march towards Württemberg, take over the Kingdom of Württemberg as soon as possible. Ensure the stability there. Especially all kinds of heavy industry enterprises must be intact. Qin Tian ordered road. Yes, Your Highness. Admiral Hindenburg immediately carried out the order. Chapter 568, Württemberg Independence. There were only more than 10,000 guards participating in the rebellion in Berlin. The German army assembled an armored division, an infantry division and a marine division, which was enough to easily crush them. However, it is far from enough to control the Kingdom of Württemberg. Fortunately, the eastern front of the empire has been completely stabilized, and relying on the newly formed 10th Army, 11th Army, and 12th Army is enough to maintain security. Therefore, under Qin Tian's order, the remaining 9 infantry divisions of the 9th Army were also transferred back to the country. As soon as these troops arrived in Berlin, they received orders and went all the way south to the Kingdom of Württemberg. At this moment, in Stuttgart, members of the Württemberg royal family and senior government officials are still in a mess. Although the Duke of Württemberg was hanged, his son fled Berlin and fled back to Stuttgart. The Duke of Württemberg had 2 sons named Albrecht Fortunatus and Albrecht Gregor. In the district, Fortunatus is the elder brother in his 20s this year, and he served as a major officer in the Imperial Guard before. The Duke of Württemberg was sentenced to a fluke, which is undoubtedly a big event for the entire Kingdom of Württemberg. Although the King of the Kingdom of Württemberg was held concurrently by the Emperor of the German Empire, the royal family of the Kingdom of Württemberg has been retained. They also have great influence. Gentlemen, my father was hanged in Berlin by the despicable Oscar. He didn't give my father a chance, and directly ordered him to be hanged. The so-called fair trial in the court is bullshit. Those who should the judges who are going to asterisk are all Oscar's henchmen, and they only listen to him. This time, we absolutely cannot compromise with them. Fortunatus roared loudly. That's right. Our Kingdom of Württemberg has a glorious history. Even though we are a member of the German Empire, the emperors of the past respected us very much. But now, Oscar has not yet become emperor. First of all, the Duke of Württemberg was hanged. This is clearly an insult to the Kingdom of Württemberg. Gregor also had an angry expression on his face. However, the senior government officials of the Kingdom of Württemberg did not share the same hatred as them. They also knew very well why the Duke of Württemberg was hanged. In addition, the Duke of Württemberg did not discuss with the government, directly intervened in the struggle for the imperial throne, and participated in the mutiny. They are also very dissatisfied. This is tantamount to putting the Kingdom of Württemberg into crisis. What's more, the Kingdom of Württemberg is not weak among the many states in the German Empire. However, military affairs, diplomacy, and even finances were all under the control of the central government of the empire. Before the tough attitude of the empire, they simply can't do anything. If you fight hard, you don't even need to think about what will happen. Before he succeeded to the throne, Qin Tian killed his 2 older brothers, a duke, several veteran generals, and even a former chief of staff like Mao Qi. This is undoubtedly a great shock to all forces in the entire German Empire. After all, in the past, Qin Tian gave everyone the impression that he was a very gentle, humble, and almost temperless person. But this time, Qin Tian let everyone see his ruthlessness. This naturally makes those who have evil intentions feel a little lingering. Then what should we do? asked the Prime Minister of the kingdom. We should express our tough attitude to Berlin. Let them agree to a series of conditions for us. Otherwise, we will definitely not let it go. Fortunatus said. Oh. What conditions? The kingdom's Minister of the Interior asked. My father, the reason why he cooperated with Crown Prince William was to fight for more independent powers for the Kingdom of Württemberg. At least let us have more autonomy in internal affairs like the Kingdom of Bavaria. Crown Prince William, and agreed to his father's conditions. That's why my father supported him. I didn't expect that Oscar would be so vicious and directly mobilized an army to besiege them, resulting in the failure of the mutiny. He also hanged my father extremely viciously. Therefore, we ask Berlin to agree to our terms. Fortunatus said. I'm afraid it will be very difficult. As you know, the mutiny failed. His Royal Highness Oscar suppressed the mutiny in the most domineering way. If we confront Berlin, the consequences will be very serious. The Prime Minister of the kingdom frowned. No, Your Excellency Prime Minister. It is now during the war. The strong industrial strength of the Kingdom of Württemberg has played a very strong role in the victory of the Empire in this war. If Berlin does not agree to our conditions, then we will declare compliance. The Kingdom of Temba became independent from the German Empire, and became a truly independent country. At that time, this will inevitably pose a great threat to the Empire. I think that in addition to promising us Berlin apart from the conditions, there is no other choice at all. Fortunatus had a smile on his lips, as if he thought he had pinched 7 inches of the Empire. Your Highness, this is too risky. The Empire has been preparing for this war for so long, and it is about to win. If we delay, it will make the entire Kingdom of Württemberg a victim of the people of other empires. The object of hostility. The Minister of the Interior shook his head again and again. As for the independence Fortunatus described, it seemed to him more like a dream. The faces of the two Fortunatus brothers suddenly became ugly. Why, do you disagree with our proposal? Don't forget, that guy Oscar hanged my father. So far, who will inherit the position of Duke of Württemberg is clearly trying to punish us. Let's do it, Fortunatus continued. Your Highness, please forgive me for still not agreeing to your conditions. This will put the Kingdom of Württemberg in a state of doom. The Prime Minister of the kingdom once again rejected the request of the two Fortunatus brothers. Are you not wanting to seek justice for my father, and want to betray the royal family of Württemberg? Fortunatus asked. My allegiance is to the German Empire and the Kingdom of Württemberg, said the Prime Minister. The Minister of the Interior also quietly repeatedly. Bastard. Come, arrest them all. Fortunatus was furious, and directly ordered the guards to arrest the Prime Minister of the kingdom and others. Afterwards, regardless of everyone's dissuasion, he directly announced that from now on, the Kingdom of Württemberg will be independent. This not only caused an uproar in the German Empire, but also attracted the attention of the whole world. Chapter 569. Uprooted. When the Kingdom of Württemberg declared independence, the German Ninth Army failed to enter the Kingdom of Württemberg. After the news reached Berlin, Qin Tian and all the senior officials of the empire were a little worried. Your Highness, the Kingdom of Württemberg suddenly declared independence. This is not a good thing for the empire. We must suppress them immediately. Prime Minister below looked serious. Although there are many states in the German Empire, it is not a dual empire like the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The German Emperor and the central government have absolute control and dominance within the empire. However, if the Kingdom of Württemberg became independent, but the empire did not suppress it immediately, causing greater turmoil, then the problem would be troublesome. If it is not done well, it will cause social turmoil in the empire and affect the ongoing world war in the empire. For the German Empire, the most important thing at this stage is still the ongoing world war after the mutiny had just taken place and Wilhelm II died. This is crucial for the German Empire. If this war cannot be won, then all the previous efforts of Germany will be in vain. Not to mention, now that the war has reached the most critical moment, Germany is only one step away from winning the war. It would be a pity if it fell short. In the future, I'm afraid that it will be difficult to have such an opportunity again. Qin Tian nodded. Your Excellency, Prime Minister, I know what you mean, but please believe that the independence of the Kingdom of Württemberg is nothing more than a farce at best, and will not have any impact on the empire at all. Oh. Prime Minister Beluo and others were taken aback for a moment, as if they hadn't thought of why Qin Tian was so confident. According to the information we received, the two sons of the Duke of Württemberg convened the ministers of the kingdom to discuss independence. However, they were strongly opposed by the ministers. Therefore, they became angry and ordered the guards to arrest him. Those ministers then directly declared independence*. It can be said that their independence is unpopular at all, and the strength they can control is at best the guards. It is estimated that even the people of the vast kingdom of Württemberg we want to support them. Under such circumstances, what else should we worry about? Qin Tian said with a smile. When he was determined to hang the Duke of Württemberg, Qin Tian stepped up his intelligence collection on the kingdom of Württemberg in order to avoid another incident similar to the Berlin Mutiny. The sudden mutiny in Berlin was suppressed though. However, it still left Qin Tian with lingering fears. If William II's butler, John Elliot, hadn't reported the real situation to him in time, if he returned to Berlin unprepared, the consequences could be imagined. If he fails, he will even lose his life, let alone continue to command the German Empire. Therefore, Qin Tian absolutely cannot let such a thing happen again. What's more, the 9th Armored Division, the vanguard of the 9th Army, is only one day away from Stuttgart, the Kingdom of Württemberg. You can enter Stuttgart tomorrow. The 4th Army of the Kingdom of Württemberg has been completely controlled by us. Without the army, what kind of storms can we survive with just a few guards? Qin Tian continued. Your Highness, in this case, the rebellion of the Kingdom of Württemberg is nothing to worry about. Prime Minister Below said, Your Excellency, in the current German Empire, apart from ourselves, there is no other country or force that can bring us down. Your Highness, I suggest taking advantage of this opportunity to uproot the royal family of Württemberg. Your Highness is not do you want to transfer all the power of the Kingdom of Württemberg to the central government of the empire? This will be an excellent opportunity for us. Foreign Minister Vachta suggested. Qin Tian undoubtedly had this intention, and he had this intention when the Duke of Württemberg participated in the rebellion. However, the situation at the time did not allow it. But now, the Kingdom of Württemberg has declared independence. Isn't that a flagrant rebellion? This also gave the imperial central government the best chance to deal with the Kingdom of Württemberg. Let's make a plan for the cabinet. After the rebellion of the Kingdom of Württemberg is put down this time, all the power of the Kingdom of Württemberg will be transferred to the central government. Turn the Kingdom of Württemberg into a state of the empire. Qin Tian said. Yes, Your Highness. Prime Minister Below replied. Although, he thinks Qin Tian's method seems a bit too radical. However, the Kingdom of Württemberg rebelled itself, and this was an excellent opportunity. After losing this opportunity, it may not be so easy to find such an opportunity in the future. Your Highness, I think we have to speed up the 9th Army. Otherwise, if the Württemberg royal family jumps over the wall and blows up those important factories, it will be a serious blow to the empire's war potential. Blow. Marshal von Falkenhayn, Minister of War and Chief of the General Staff, reminded. Qin Tian nodded. Let the 9th Army speed up. Send some troops to protect those factories in advance. You know, Qin Tian's Daimler Automobile Company is located near Stuttgart. Now, the jeeps and trucks produced by Daimler Motor Company have become an indispensable means of transportation for the German army. If the Daimler Motor Company is blown up, it will have a major impact on the combat effectiveness of the German army. After Qin Tian immediately issued an order, the German government also issued an important statement on the rebellion of the Kingdom of Württemberg. German central government Prime Minister Below declared that the Kingdom of Württemberg has been an integral part of the German Empire since ancient times. The King of the Kingdom of Württemberg is concurrently held by the Emperor of the Empire. The other members of the Württemberg royal family declared the Kingdom of Württemberg independent without any reason or qualification. Prime Minister Below called on the guards involved in the rebellion to lay down their weapons and surrender to the impending arrival of the Imperial Army. All soldiers who surrender will forget the past. If you continue to resist, you will be severely punished. At the same time, he also called on the people of the Kingdom of Württemberg not to listen to the instigation of the Württemberg royal family, not to participate in the rebellion, or to do things that endanger the interests of the empire. Qin Tian's order to the 9th Legion, in addition to controlling the entire territory of the Kingdom of Württemberg and ensuring social stability, a more important order is to ask them to uproot the royal family of Württemberg from the Kingdom of Württemberg. Only in this way will it be possible to ensure the subsequent recovery of all Zemstvo powers of the Kingdom of Württemberg. Chapter 570, Farce. Protest. Protest. We are Germans, and the Kingdom of Württemberg cannot be independent. Withdraw the Declaration of Independence. The square outside the Württemberg Palace in Stuttgart was crowded with people from all over Stuttgart. They held slogans and shouted slogans to protest the Württemberg royal family's Declaration of Independence. For the people of the Kingdom of Württemberg, they are unwilling to leave the German Empire and become citizens of the so-called independent Kingdom of Württemberg. The current German Empire is a superpower. After winning this war, it will become the world hegemon. As for the Kingdom of Württemberg, let alone whether it can truly achieve independence. Even if independence is achieved, the land area is small and the population is not large. Such a country is not even a second-class power in Europe. Naturally, the people are unwilling to change from the citizens of a world hegemon to the citizens of a third-rate small country all of a sudden. Besides, the people of the Kingdom of Württemberg also consider themselves pure Germans. They are the same Germans as the rest of the German Empire. In this case, the Kingdom of Württemberg should not and cannot be independent. After the Württemberg royal family declared independence without the government's permission, the anger of the people was ignited. They gathered in the square in front of the palace to protest, demand the retraction of the independent statement. If the kingdom hadn't been under strict guard by the guards, and even the guards had set up machine guns, maybe the angry people would have rushed into the kingdom, arrested the two Fortunatus brothers, and handed them over to the central government. But the performance of the people also made the two Fortunatus brothers very angry. Damn it, why don't those untouchables understand our good intentions? Everything we do is for the Kingdom of Württemberg and for the good of everyone. It's really unreasonable for them to openly oppose me. Fortunatus stood in an office on the second floor of the palace, looked through the window at the angry crowd gathered outside the palace, and could not help but curse. Of course, he kept saying that it was for the Kingdom of Württemberg and for all the people of the Kingdom of Württemberg. In fact, it was not for himself, but he himself wanted to be the king of the Kingdom of Württemberg, and he wanted to control the power of the independent Kingdom of Württemberg. The so-called interests of the people are just an excuse for him, a fig leaf. Brother, what should we do now? Gregor was a little worried. Originally they expected that after the Declaration of Independence, the people would definitely respond to them immediately. In this case, they have enough qualifications to bargain with the central government. Even if independence cannot be truly achieved, it will certainly be able to take the opportunity to expand the independent power of the Kingdom of Württemberg. Maybe it can become a highly autonomous country like the Kingdom of Bavaria. At that time, Fortunatus will be the king of the kingdom, and Gregor will also be the duke. But the current development of the situation seems to have a huge gap with what they expected before. Fortunatus is also like an ant on a hot pot. He knows that, if the time is delayed, it will be more unfavorable to them. The German army is obviously already marching towards Stuttgart, and the time left for them must be running out. Has the Fourth Army responded? Are von Fabek and Holmes still unwilling to accept our command? Fortunatus asked. Like his lost father, Fortunatus also placed his hopes on the 4th Legion. I hope to rely on the 4th Army to bargain with the central government. It's a pity that before the Duke of Württemberg was hanged, he lost his influence on the 4th Army. What's more, they love brothers. I haven't received any news yet. Von Fabek and Holmes are obviously determined to betray us. Gregor said. This made Fortunatus' heart sink uncontrollably. Without the support of the army, they are simply vulnerable to the army of the central government of the empire, and they will be crushed to pieces in an instant. Your Highness, the vanguard of the army is about 1 regiment, and it is about to arrive in Stuttgart. A guard officer reported. What? How did they come so fast? The two brothers Fortunatus and Gregor were shocked. The establishment of the Royal Palace Guard is not large, only more than 1,000 people. Such an organization is enough to defend the palace, but it is not enough to control the whole of Stuttgart, let alone confront the elite troops of the army that suppressed the rebellion. Isn't that letting them go to die? Damn it, let the guards set out immediately to capture the Daimler Automobile Company and other important factories. If the army dares to attack, they will blow up those factories. At worst, we will fight them to the death. Fortunatus said with a grim face. Brother, if we do that, we will completely tear ourselves apart with Berlin. Berlin will definitely let us go. Gregor was a little worried. The importance of those factories is self-evident. For the ongoing war of the German Empire, they can all play a very important role. If they destroy the factory, it is very likely that they will be sentenced to war crimes of sabotage and crimes of endangering national security. At that time, they might follow in the footsteps of the Duke of Württemberg and be hanged directly. Gregor, we have no other choice. Ever since our father was hanged by that guy Oscar, they won't let us go. So, we can only fight them. Fortunatus gritted his teeth. Gregor thought for a while, but nodded. After receiving the order, the palace guards were ready to go. However, as soon as he left the palace, he was blocked by angry people. The intelligence personnel mixed in the crowd shouted loudly, telling the public that these guard members were going to attack the factory. Suddenly, the anger of the people was ignited. They surrounded the guards and asked them to put down their weapons and surrender. The commander of the guards paled from fright. He ordered the guards to open fire and disperse the crowd. However, no one obeyed his orders. After all, these guard members were all recruited from Stuttgart and its surrounding areas. Among these people, there are also their relatives. How could these open fire on their loved ones? So, the members of these guards put down their weapons and surrendered. The commander of the guard, seeing that something was going wrong, quickly withdrew to the palace. This made the two brothers Fortunatus and Gregor very frustrated. They faintly felt that the choice this time was really a big mistake. However, now there is no regret medicine to take. Chapter 571, Ascension to the Throne and Proclaiming the Emperor. A vanguard of the German Ninth Army arrived in Stuttgart first. Originally, they were ordered to protect those important factories. However, it was only after arriving in Stuttgart that the angry people had surrounded the Palace of Württemberg, and most members of the guard had surrendered. Only a few people were entrenched in the kingdom, trying to resist. The head of the regiment immediately changed the target of the battle and led the troops to the palace. When a large number of elite German troops arrived and surrounded the palace, this immediately made the two brothers Fortunatus and Gregor in the palace very nervous. Those guard soldiers also turned pale. Obviously, they all know that the consequences of confronting the elite army will inevitably be very miserable. Order the surrender in the palace, otherwise, we will launch an attack, the regiment leader ordered. Although, the royal palace is solemn. However, during this rebellion, fighting broke out even in the Palace of Berlin, let alone the Palace of the Kingdom of Württemberg in front of them. When the cannons were erected and aimed at the palace, the artillerymen were ready to fire. Those guys who were stubbornly resisting in the palace couldn't hold on loyally anymore. Immediately they laid down their weapons, opened the palace gates, and surrendered to the Germans. Brothers Fortunatus and Gregor were also arrested. This time, the rebellion of the Kingdom of Württemberg came to an end. The entire rebellion had almost no substantial adverse effects on Germany. It was like a farce, which ended just after it started. Of course, this rebellion also had an extremely profound impact on Germany. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Germany began to take back the power of local governments and further strengthen centralization to ensure that the rule of the entire German Empire can be more effectively established. As for the two brothers Fortunatus and Gregor, they naturally did not end well. They were tried by a special court, and in the end, the two were sentenced to hang for the crime of endangering national security and sabotage of war, following in the footsteps of their father. The Württemberg royal family, after being hit hard by this, was even more devastated. When faced with the central government's request to revoke the Kingdom of Württemberg and change it to the state of Württemberg, it was even more powerless to resist. The rebellion in the Kingdom of Württemberg was easily suppressed, which allowed the internal problems of the German Empire to be temporarily resolved. Although, there are more or less some remaining problems, but generally speaking, it will not have any impact on the under such circumstances. Qin Tian's enthronement ceremony was naturally on the agenda. After the death of William II Empire, Qin Tian, as the crown prince of the German Empire, was naturally the only heir to the German Empire's throne. If it wasn't for this rebellion that led to the death of William II, Qin Tian probably would have to ascend the throne for another 20 years if he wanted to inherit the throne. Therefore, to a certain extent, Qin Tian should also thank Crown Prince William for allowing him to become Emperor of the Empire more than 20 years earlier. Of course, Crown Prince William has long been hanged. Even if I want to express my gratitude, I can't find someone to thank. Your Highness, the cabinet has discussed it. It is necessary to slow down temporarily when the kingdom of the Duke of Württemberg is changed to a state. It is best to wait until the empire wins this war. With the opportunity of a big victory, no one can oppose us. Yes. At that time, it will naturally be able to get twice the result with half the effort. Prime Minister below suggested. Qin Tian nodded. If Germany won the war, it would indeed save a lot of trouble. It is also conducive to ensuring the social stability of the empire. Although the current empire has already won a key victory in the war, but there is undoubtedly still a long way to go before the final victory. France has not yet surrendered, the British are even more persistent, and Italy is still lingering. Therefore, next, Germany needs to work hard to defeat all these enemies. Only in this way can Germany win the war without any variables. Well, let's put it after the war. Qin Tian said. Your Highness, the next most important thing is your enthronement ceremony. The empire cannot be without an emperor for a long time. You are the crown prince of the empire, so you are naturally the sole legal heir to the imperial throne. We all believe that the enthronement ceremony of your Highness, it needs to be held as soon as possible to stabilize people's hearts. Prime Minister below said. Well, I have no objection. You can hold it whenever you want. However, I only have one request, and that is to keep everything simple. Qin Tian said. He didn't want to make it too troublesome, just like when William I was crowned Emperor of the German Empire. It was very troublesome. Now is the war period. Qin Tian doesn't want to waste too much time on these aspects. Yes, Your Highness. The enthronement ceremony of His Highness will be held in 3 days. Prime Minister below said. Qin Tian nodded in agreement. On the morning of May 6, 1015, in the main hall of the Berlin Imperial Palace, the military and political officials of the empire, princes and nobles, representatives of big capitalists, big factory owners and big landlords, representatives of the scientific and cultural circles, and other celebrities all gathered together to participate in Qin Tian's enthronement ceremony. The Archbishop of the German diocese presided over the ceremony. Originally, the Pope intended to preside over the enthronement ceremony himself. After all, the possibility of Germany winning the war is very high, which makes theocracy have to bow to secular power. But it is a pity that the Pope is surrounded by the Kingdom of Italy, and the Kingdom of Italy is a country that is hostile to the empire. This makes it impossible for the Pope to arrive in Berlin to attend Qin Tian's enthronement ceremony in person. God's blessing. The Archbishop told the people attending the enthronement ceremony that Qin Tian is a monarch blessed by God. His succession as the Emperor of the German Empire will be expected by all, and God will allow it. Under the witness of God, Crown Prince Oscar, from now on, becomes the Emperor of the German Empire. The Archbishop finally announced. Long live His Majesty the Emperor. Everyone who participated in the enthronement ceremony shouted loudly. They were sincerely happy that Qin Tian could become the Emperor of the Empire. When the bishop picked up the crown and was about to put it on for Qin Tian took the crown and put it on himself, which made the Archbishop feel a little embarrassed, but no one noticed it. Afterwards, Qin Tian picked up a smaller crown and put it on Princess Gundlind, which represented that Gundlind would officially become the Queen of the German Empire. After Qin Tian succeeded to the throne, he became His Majesty Emperor William III, or His Majesty Oscar the Great. Chapter 572, Missed Opportunity. Qin Tian succeeded to the throne and became Emperor William III. This was undoubtedly a sensational event for the whole world. After all, Germany is now faintly the #1 power in the world. Their army was invincible on the battlefield, and the army of the Allied powers was retreating steadily, in a panic. Once Germany wins this world war, they will be able to replace Britain and become the world hegemon. Moreover, after Germany became the world hegemon, their strength is stronger than that of the former hegemony, the British Empire. When the British Empire dominated the world, its navy was of course the number one in the world. However, the army is not flattered. But the German Empire is different. They will have the world's largest army, the world's largest navy, and the world's largest air force. Although the German Air Force has not yet been formed, it can only be regarded as an air force. But after the war, the formation of the Air Force will be inevitable. This would give Germany the strongest armed force in the world. Compared with Germany, other countries can only follow behind and catch up hard. In terms of industrial strength, of course the United States is number one in the world. However, once Germany integrates the industrial strength of the entire Europe, it is just around the corner to surpass the United States. What's more, in terms of technological strength, Germany is not a star ahead of the United States. If the United States wants to compete with Germany for world hegemony, it will be very difficult. It can be said that Germany dominates the world, and no one can stop it, unless God shows up. At Qin Tian's enthronement ceremony, the envoys of other countries stationed in Germany sent their blessings. Of course, most of their blessings are probably not sincere. No country is willing to see the rise of a superpower like Germany. This will seriously threaten their interests and suppress their living space. However, when there was no other way, I had no choice but to send blessings hypocritically. If Qin Tian's enthronement ceremony was not too hasty, I'm afraid that more representatives from various countries will come to participate in the enthronement ceremony. And the level is also higher. But because the situation is urgent now, and Qin Tian doesn't pay much attention to those empty etiquettes, that's why this enthronement ceremony is a bit hasty. But even so, no country can be underestimated. After all, the strength of the German Empire was achieved by their powerful army. Instead of relying on these so-called virtual etiquette, only a strong army is the guarantee of everything. The American Republic on the other side of the ocean is full of helplessness for the rise of the German Empire. Although, among the current world powers, the United States cannot be ranked at the top. However, their ambitions are not small. Originally, they wanted to take advantage of this world war to achieve leapfrog development. So that after the old European continent was smashed, they took the opportunity to rise and become the new hegemon of the world. But Germany's performance in this world war surprised them. Germany defeated the opponent so quickly that they had no chance to intervene in this war. The great strength displayed by the German army also made them a little timid, afraid to participate in it, for fear that they would also be defeated. There is no way to do that. Who let the United States have a strong industrial strength, but no military strength to match it. White House, President Woodrow Wilson and Secretary of State Bryan are talking. The content of their conversation was, of course, the enthronement of the new Emperor of the German Empire. Your Excellency, Secretary of State, why do I have the feeling that I'm already old? It is hard to imagine that a young man who is not yet 27 years old will become the emperor of the most powerful country in the world. Moreover, it is still the kind of person who monopolizes power emperor, exclaimed President Woodrow Wilson. Indeed, after Qin Tian became the German emperor, he was too young. This undoubtedly looks too young in a wave of national leaders who are middle-aged or even elderly. Your Excellency, although the Kaiser is young, his behavior style is not immature at all. Thinking about it now, his development in the past few years can be called a legend. Secretary of State Bryan sighed. President Woodrow Wilson nodded. Indeed. His Majesty William III, it's not easy. As Qin Tian's performance became more and more dazzling, those things he did were also dug out, which naturally shocked the whole world. Especially those young people. They regard Qin Tian as the object of their worship. After all, it is undoubtedly commendable to be able to make such a career at such a young age. When Qin Tian was young, his performance was not astonishing. However, before going to the Naval Academy to study, it seemed that he had suddenly opened up. Not only started a business and made a lot of profits, but also used these profits to help Germany develop its military strength, making the German Navy quickly surpass the United Kingdom in just a few years and become the most powerful navy in the world. The strength of the German army has also made great progress. This enabled the German army to quickly achieve major victories at sea and on the Eastern Front during the war, establishing the victory, as Qin Tian personally commanded the troops to defeat the British and French allied forces on the Western Front. It further established Germany's victory. It is almost impossible for the Allies to reverse the situation. Even at this time, the United States joined the war, but it will not help. After all, they have used all their strength to support Britain and France. Even the capital ships in active service were all sold to the United Kingdom. This kind of support is not unprecedented, at least it is unprecedented. If the navy of the Allied powers can win the final battle at sea, there may be a chance. If it fails this time, then everything is over. However, the US government still does not have much confidence in the Allies, because their enemies are too powerful. Originally, the outbreak of rebellion in Germany this time was a great opportunity for the Allied powers to turn defeat into victory. But unfortunately, they failed to seize this opportunity. In other words, His Majesty William III's luck was so good that others had not yet reacted. By then, the rebellion had already been suppressed. This made it impossible for other countries to intervene. President Woodrow Wilson said with emotion, "Yes, Your Excellency. After suppressing the internal rebellion and winning the external war, no one can stop the rise of the German Empire. They will dominate the world for a long time to come. Other countries, it is simply impossible to compete with them," Secretary of State Bryan said. President Woodrow Wilson nodded. He knew what Secretary of State Bryan meant. Among those countries, the Republic of America was also included. From now on, their national policy needs to undergo some changes. Chapter 573, Last Ditch. UK, London, Downing Street, Prime Minister's Office, Prime Minister Asquith's office. At this moment, Prime Minister Asquith is still sitting on the throne of Prime Minister. However, compared with before, the current Prime Minister Asquith looks much older. He originally wanted to resign early and hand over this mess to others. But others are not fools. At such a critical juncture, naturally no one wants to replace him. Of course, the Prime Minister of the British Empire is a very powerful position. When the British Empire dominated the world, it was hailed as the most powerful person in the world. But now, the British Empire has become shaky, and the position of Prime Minister has become a hot potato. Under such circumstances, naturally no one wants to take over the position of Prime Minister. So, there is no way. Prime Minister Asquith had to continue to serve as the Prime Minister of the British Empire until the defeat of the British Empire. In this case, it can be regarded as a beginning and an end. In this cabinet meeting, there was only one main topic of discussion. That is how the British Empire will fight back in view of the current situation. How can we reverse the current predicament and allow the British Empire to regain its advantage in one fell swoop and even turn defeat into victory? Of course, it seems that this possibility is very small. However, this does not prevent the leaders of the British Empire from working in this direction. Among them, the one with the most firm belief in counterattack is undoubtedly the Secretary of the Navy Churchill. When the Royal Navy suffered a disastrous defeat, Churchill was not discouraged, but went to the United States and made an incredible request for the purchase of ships. Other members of the original British cabinet thought this was too whimsical. However, I didn't expect Churchill to actually accomplish this. Although, the price paid is a bit high. But overall, this is of great benefit to the British Empire. With the fleet, this means that they once again have a chance to turn defeat into victory. Churchill stayed in the United States, waiting for the British warship to secretly send a large number of Royal Navy officers and soldiers to the United States, and then started training, before returning home secretly. He was also lucky. He traveled between the United Kingdom and the United States at high speed on a destroyer, and he was not bumped into by the German Navy's breaking fleet. If he is caught, all his ambitions will sink to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean with him. Of course, if that is the case, perhaps the British Empire will pay less losses in this war. After all, Churchill, who was a representative of the war faction, was gone. Then, I'm afraid that the war will not continue. If Britain can accept the reality of failure, pay a huge price, and end the war, then the war will naturally not continue. In that case, not so many people would die. It's a pity that there are no such ifs. Churchill is still jumping, so the war has to go on, Your Excellency Prime Minister, we have sent enough naval officers and soldiers to the United States, and various trainings have already begun. It is expected that the officers and soldiers will be able to master the warships of the US Navy soon. Lieutenant General Martin is responsible for the training of that fleet and the task of returning home. According to the combat plan drawn up by the Admiralty, we will be able to complete the preparations in at most half a month. Churchill looked excited. Purchased 12 battleships from the United States, which restored the strength of the British Royal Navy at once. Although it can't be compared with the period of complete victory, at least it is much stronger than the period of disastrous defeat. If the main fleet of the French Navy and the main fleet of the Royal Italian Navy are added, they have the opportunity to compete with the German Navy. If you are lucky, it is not impossible to defeat the German Navy. It is precisely because of this belief that Churchill is full of energy. Prime Minister Asquith nodded. Very good. Well done, Churchill. If the Royal Navy can defeat the Germans in one fell swoop in future naval battles, you will be our biggest contributor. Your Excellency, for the British Empire, I will fight to the end. Churchill said. Everyone, the British Empire is in danger. Our enemy is very powerful. However, I believe that the British Empire will definitely have a chance to turn defeat into victory. As long as we persevere, God will bless the British Empire and we will definitely be able to defeat it. Germans, said Prime Minister Asquith confidently. Yes, Your Excellency the Prime Minister. A group of cabinet ministers said one after another. However, it is hard to say whether they are also so optimistic in their hearts. Your Excellency, the main fleet of the French Navy and the Kingdom of Italy have also secretly arrived in the UK. They are conducting joint training with our fleet. When our fleet returns from the United States, we can conduct the final battle with the Germans. It's a decisive battle. If we can win this time, the situation of the battle will be rewritten accordingly. If we fail, then the British Empire may have to perish. Churchill said. The cabinet ministers present couldn't help but tremble in their hearts. Although, no one wants to see that day come. However, everyone knows that such a situation is entirely possible. And, judging from the current situation, the possibility is not small. It's a pity that they have nothing to do about it. They can only bear it passively. Oh, it would be great if the scale of the civil strife in Germany could be further expanded this time. Foreign Secretary Sir Edward Grey sighed. Yes, it's a pity that the Crown Prince of Germany, no, now it should be said that it is Emperor William III, who suppressed the rebellion with lightning speed, and now even uprooted the royal family of Württemberg. Personal prestige in Germany, it can be said to have reached its peak. The whole country is under his control. His power is even greater than when William II was in power. I have to admit that under the rule of William III, the German Empire may become even stronger, Churchill said. This topic is undoubtedly relatively heavy for the British. In comparison, the stronger Germany is, the less likely they are to turn defeat into victory. This is undoubtedly of no benefit to the British Empire. Everyone, may God bless the British Empire. If we can defeat the Germans in one fell swoop in the next decisive battle, then we still have hope. Prime Minister Asquith said. May God bless the British Empire. The other cabinet ministers also prayed devoutly to God, praying that God could save their country. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 574, Le Havre. Le Havre, located at the mouth of the Seine River. Since ancient times, it has been an important shipbuilding base and naval base in France. When France and Britain competed for maritime supremacy, the main force of the French Navy gathered here. It's a pity that with the failure of France and Spain in the decisive sea battle against Britain, France completely lost its ambition to compete with Britain for maritime supremacy. After entering the 20th century, the French Navy can be regarded as one of the few world maritime powers. But compared with before, there is already a huge gap. Even the main force of the French Navy had to withdraw from the Atlantic coast and go to the small pond in the Mediterranean Sea to dominate. They simply didn't have the courage to fight for maritime supremacy. This also made Le Havre, the naval base, deserted. It's just that now Le Havre has become lively again, because almost all the defeated soldiers of the British Expeditionary Force in France retreated here. The British Expeditionary Force has a total of 5 armies on the French battlefield. The first army was severely damaged in Rouen, losing more than half. The second army suffered extremely heavy losses on the Marne River defense line, almost on the verge of collapse, and is currently withdrawing to southern France with the main force of the French army. The third army was surrounded and wiped out on the Rouen front, and the fourth army surrendered in Paris. Only the fifth army, which had just arrived in France, was still in full strength. It's just that the fifth army is a newly formed army with limited combat effectiveness. Now it is only hiding in Le Havre with the remnants of the first army. Sir French, the commander of the British Expeditionary Force, also rushed to Le Havre. However, the current situation is already very critical for the British and French coalition forces. The German army has already occupied an absolute advantage on the French battlefield. The British and French allied forces are being pressed step by step. It can be said that defeating them is only a matter of time. Your Excellency, the French's tentative attack just launched has failed. They once again lost a lot of troops. The Germans are continuing to attack them south. The French are not far from defeat. Therefore, I think we can no longer stay in France. This is tantamount to waiting to die here. If we can return to the UK, we can also participate in the defense of the homeland. The 300,000 troops will play a vital role in the defense of the homeland role. Admiral Haig, commander of the First Army of the British Expeditionary Force, suggested. General Haig, I know what you mean. However, neither the cabinet nor the War Department gave us an order to evacuate. Therefore, we cannot evacuate at all now. Sir French sighed. If possible, he certainly hopes to lead his army back to the British mainland. However, the order to retreat was not issued, so he obviously couldn't order the troops to retreat without authorization, right? In that case, there is a problem, Your Excellency. The time is critical now, and we cannot delay any longer. Otherwise, the consequences will be very serious. The Germans are already mobilizing troops to come to Le Havre. Those who appeared outside Le Havre, the German army is their first army. The strength is almost the same as ours. The 8th army, which appeared before, disappeared later. However, it has reappeared now. It can be predicted that the Germans have solved their internal problems and began to withdraw. Troops are coming against us. It's going to be very bad for us, Admiral Haig said. According to the German troops that appeared on the outskirts of Le Havre, Admiral Haig could feel that the German attack might be imminent. It is obviously impossible for the troops stationed in Le Havre by the British Expeditionary Force to resist the attack of the two elite German armies. General Haig, I will ask the country for instructions. However, you should also know that the possibility of the country allowing us to retreat is probably very small. Our navy will also join forces with the French navy to fight the German navy again. If we win, the situation of the battle will be rewritten accordingly. If we fail, then we will really lose completely, Sir French said. That is to say, we have to wait until the Navy and the Germans decide the outcome again, before we can determine whether we can withdraw to the country, Admiral Haig said. Sir French nodded. Although, this feeling of handing over his life and death to others made him very uncomfortable. But Sir French had no other choice. For the sake of the overall situation, this is impossible. General Haig, now we are all in Le Havre under your command. I only have one request, and that is to persist as long as possible until our navy and the German navy decide the outcome. Sir French said. Okay, sir, I will try my best. Admiral Haig nodded. When the British army was preparing to resist the German attack in Le Havre, the German 1st Army and 8th Army had already arrived in Le Havre. Originally, the 8th Army went north to monitor the 4th Army that had changed. This made the 1st Army not launch an attack immediately after arriving, but waited for the opportunity. Now, the Kingdom of Württemberg has put down the rebellion, and the royal family of Württemberg has also been uprooted. The German offensive can naturally continue. In Qin Tian's previous plan, he used 2 group armies to deal with the remaining troops of the British Expeditionary Force, eliminate them, and create favorable conditions for the subsequent landing in the British mainland. On May 6, The day Qin Tian ascended the throne in Berlin and proclaimed himself emperor, the German First Army and Eighth Army began to discuss the attack on Le Havre. Today is a day when His Royal Highness the Crown Prince ascended the throne in Berlin. Since we have no chance to return to Berlin to attend the ceremony, then let's use a victory to celebrate His Majesty's enthronement ceremony. Admiral Crook said. The death of William II was a big blow to veterans like them. Fortunately, the rebellion has subsided. His Majesty William III, who is more outstanding than William II, will also ascend the throne and proclaim himself emperor. This means that Germany will have a brighter future. The generals on the front line are also more confident. Yes, if we can eat the 300,000 British Expeditionary Force, then the British Expeditionary Force is finished. The next French will surely surrender. We just need to prepare for the last battle. Lieutenant General Ludendorff said. The last battle he talked about was naturally the battle to land on the British mainland. The various regiments of the German army are eagerly looking forward to becoming troops landing in the British mainland. This will be a great honor for them. Chapter 575. Violent shelling. General, according to the information we have received, the British Expeditionary Force has less than 300,000 troops in Le Havre. Our two armies combined have 50% more troops than them. At the same time, our morale and weaponry are far ahead of them. If we launch an attack, they will definitely not be our opponents. Lieutenant General Ludendorff was full of confidence in this battle. The two armies of the British Expeditionary Force in Le Havre, the 5th Army with the largest number of troops, is just a new army that has just been formed. Such a new army that has never experienced the baptism of war. How strong can they be expected to have? That is obviously unlikely. Facing the elite German army, how could the British Expeditionary Force resist it? Admiral Crook nodded. The only thing we need to pay attention to is probably the attack from the sea. The British Navy can send some warships to provide fire support for them. Although the Royal Navy is controlled by our high seas, the fleet has been severely damaged. However, they still have some combat effectiveness. Among other things, the main guns of the large number of pre-dreadnoughts, armored cruisers, and heavy cruisers are extremely powerful. The flesh and blood of our infantry, the body is simply unable to resist. Lieutenant General Ludendorff's expression became serious involuntarily. The main fleet of the British Navy was indeed severely damaged by the high seas fleet. But this does not mean that the Royal Navy has no threat. As Admiral Crook said, the naval guns of the warships of the British Navy are undoubtedly devastating to ground targets. The former dreadnoughts of the British Navy are generally equipped with 305mm main guns and 280mm secondary guns. Armored cruisers also have 280mm main guns, and heavy cruisers also have 203mm main guns. And the artillery of the army is already very powerful. But the largest caliber cannon they equip is only 150mm. Compared with the main guns on the British Navy warships, it is undoubtedly a big difference. As long as the British deploy a few warships in Le Havre, it is enough to cause great losses to the German army. Even if the fall of Le Havre cannot be prevented, at least it can make the German army pay an unbearable price. It seems that we need the help of the Navy. Without the Navy to help us clean up the sea in Le Havre, we have to be prepared for heavy losses here. Lieutenant General Ludendorff said. Yes, I have already requested support from the Admiralty. It is expected that naval reinforcement will arrive soon. At that time, they can also cooperate with us to bombard Le Havre and reinforce our operations. In this case, we will be able to win the victory with the least cost. Admiral Crook said. Yes, General. Lieutenant General Ludendorff nodded. In this case, it is undoubtedly the safest. However, in order to speed up the progress, our attack should start tomorrow. If you find a British warship, stop the attack immediately and wait for the reinforcement of the Navy. Admiral Crook continued. Yes, General, I have absolutely no objection. Lieutenant General Ludendorff slightly repeatedly. Then let's do this. I hope that, after we take Le Havre, the French will have surrendered. In this case, we have already won more than half of this battle. Admiral Crook smiled. France is resolved, and the rest of Britain will be left alone. The Empire will win this battle. Lieutenant General Ludendorff is also full of confidence in this battle. Of course, both of them automatically ignored the Kingdom of Italy. Early in the morning on May 7th, the German 1st Army and 8th Army were ready to attack Le Havre. The artillery of each infantry division has already pushed the cannons into the artillery positions. At a distance of a few kilometers from Le Havre, ferocious missiles were raised. Ammunition vehicles are transporting shells to the artillery positions. The reconnaissance plane of the Air Force found that there were no warships of the British Navy in the nearby sea. Therefore, the artillerymen can fire unscrupulously without worrying about being suppressed by the British Navy's naval guns. At 8 AM, everything is ready. The artillery commander gave the order to fire. The German cannons began to roar. Boom, boom, boom. Orange-red flames shone at the muzzle, and the shells, under the action of kinetic energy, flew towards Le Havre at high speed. As for the infantry, they hid in the trenches and watched the artillery performance. According to the news they got, the firepower preparation this time will last for a whole day. In view of the great battle at Le Havre, it was probably the fiercest battle on the European battlefield. Therefore, the German army will not discount its firepower preparation. The commanders of the German army also hoped to use powerful shelling to wipe out the British expeditionary force entrenched in Le Havre as much as possible, to attack their will to fight, and to reduce the casualties of the troops during the attack as much as possible. Boom, boom, boom. Shells fell like raindrops, and dense explosions sounded in Le Havre. The defensive position of the British Women's Expeditionary Force on the outskirts of Le Havre was completely shrouded in gunpowder smoke and flames. Huge craters appeared one after another on the positions of the British Expeditionary Force. The fortifications they painstakingly built were destroyed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Although, when the German shelling had just begun, the British Expeditionary Force withdrew from the front-line positions. However, seeing such violent shelling by the German army still scared the officers and soldiers of the British Expeditionary Force enough. Damn it, the overwhelming German bombardment has started again. Saying that the German army's combat effectiveness is the best in the world, I think it is simply piled up with shells. An officer of the British Expeditionary Force looked resentful. Never mind whether the number one in the world of the Germans is piled up with shells. At least, we have nothing to do with them. Another officer said. Indeed, the British Expeditionary Force was at a complete disadvantage in the face of such heavy German shelling. They could only watch helplessly as their fortifications were destroyed by German shelling. The BEF's own artillery, on the other hand, remained silent. The First Army of the British Expeditionary Force did not have much artillery left. When they evacuated Rouen, they almost lost their heavy weapons. Although the 5th Army of the British Expeditionary Force has a lot of cannons, it is obviously not comparable to the German army. In order to avoid losing these cannons in the tragic artillery battle, the commander of the British Expeditionary Force ordered all the cannons to be hidden, so that they could be used at the most critical time. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.